Deception is a right. Truth is a privilege. Innocence is a luxury. Born of the U.S. government's 1920 raid on the degenerate coastal town of Innsmouth, Massachusetts, the covert agency known as Delta Green opposes the forces of darkness with honor, but without glory. Delta Green agents slip through the system, manipulating the federal bureaucracy while pushing the darkness back for another day, but often at a shattering personal cost. This is a dirge for the end of the world, a Delta Green campaign of modern horror, conspiracy, and personal apocalypse. I am Eric, at Maron Recluse on Twitter, your handler for this terrifying tale. Due to mature themes of horror and violence explored in our tale, we encourage listener discretion. We are Vorpal Tales, and we play a wide assortment of games 7 days a week that fall into two categories: awesome adventures and terrifying tales. Be sure to check the calendar on vorpaltales.com to stay up to date with all of our shows. Check out Arc Dream Publishing's suite of tabletop RPGs and supplements on arcdream.com, where you can get physical or digital copies of awesome games like Delta Green. Remember to follow Vorpal Tales on Twitch. Visit our website to find the link to join our Discord. We are on most major social media outlets, including YouTube, where you can catch up on previous episodes. So remember to follow, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all the updates. Vorpal Tales is also on Drive-Thru-RPG, by the way. Check out some of our very own Vorpal Tales supplements that include characters, monsters, and scenarios made for many of the games that we play weekly. We want to thank Arc Dream Publishing for making awesome games like Delta Green for us to play and for providing support for their players. Special music credit shoutouts go to Somnium Music, Dan Curtis Music, Lisa Upperbound, Repulsive Sound for the use of their excellent ambience and music tracks, as well as our resident rockstar Tyler for the awesome theme music you heard during the reel. For more awesome tunes, check out secretpress.bandcamp.com and on YouTube, Instagram, and SoundCloud under Repulsive Sound. Also, a very special thanks to @NateMid for designing our super awesome character sheets for Astral. And last but not least, a warm thanks to our listeners and fans for tuning in. Our agents and friendlies are ready for another night at the opera. Please tell our audience who you are, where they can find you online, and who you will be playing this evening. Beginning with Devin.
Hello all, I am Devin, as just previously spoken. You can find me online at Sword of Sullied, and tonight I am playing the firefighter, Megan Spots.
All right, and Ambrose.
Hey everybody, you know me as ever. You can call me Ambrose. My pronouns are he, they. You can find me all over the internet as Changeling Ever, and tonight I shall be playing Daniel Jackson, PhD, the anthropologist.
Excellent. John.
Hey there, I am at Space Lord PJs. You can find me on the internet at Space Lord PJs. Wow, what a concept. And I'm going to be playing the computer scientist, Joe Big Papa Flanagan.
Joe.
I love it.
Big
Papa. Right now, Tyler.
I am Tyler, Eldritch Echoes Online, and in this game I will be playing Aiden Grayson, former cultist of He Who is Opener of the Way, and angsty psychic.
Excellent. All right. We'll catch up with Ben here in a little while. We'll get him introduced properly. Right now, I'm just going to go over some very preliminary stuff about the world of Delta Green, how it sort of came about, and a little bit, I'll touch on the rules and, creating a character, combat, etc., and then we'll get right into our story. Born from the pages of the classic Call of Cthulhu tabletop RPG, Delta Green is a modern-day setting used to explore the horrors of the mythos through the lens of conspiracy and spy fiction. In it, players take the roles of experts, federal agents, or military personnel who are all in the know about the physical and existential horrors that exist in our world. These agents form a cell, which is part of a larger conspiracy that operates outside the US federal government. Using their access, Delta Green agents and cells often manipulate the bureaucracy in order to facilitate action against those mythos forces. In the game's initial incarnation, Delta Green had a very real antagonist, legendary Majestic 12, a shadowy government agency that was also in the know about mythos forces and often attempted to utilize and weaponize the high technology of alien species or harness the dangerous powers of hypergeometry. also known as magic. But that was then. After decades of clandestine war and shadow operations, Delta Green triumphed over Majestic, but not without compromise. The new group that emerged was no longer working outside the government's auspices. The program, as it became known, continued to operate in the same way as Majestic, just to a lesser degree. This was unacceptable to many of the old guard within the conspiracy. Resulting from this fracture, the cowboys, as they were called, or the outlaws, refused to come in from the cold and continued their clandestine war against the mythos without compromise. Each follow the rules of engagement and try not to violate the parameters of their secret truce. Occasionally, however, one side or the other violates the rules of the Accord, which result in consequences for both. For this story, our players will be taking the role of agents working for the cowboys. Understaffed, underfunded, and outgunned. They will work for the underdog of the two entities officially known and unofficially known as Delta Green. Being that Delta Green functioned as the first modern-day setting for Call of Cthulhu, many of the core mechanics are the same. It utilizes a percentile skill and stat system in that regard, but it does have some narrative and mechanical flourishes and wrinkles that make it stand out as an excellent addition to the Call of Cthulhu collection, and has been one of my must-have favorites since its year of publication back in 1995. Character generation follows 5 basic steps. First is to determine the statistics. For each stat, you roll 4d6, drop the lowest of the 4 dice, and add up the other 3, and place the 6 rolls in whichever stats you like. This is, of course, if you prefer not to go with a pre-rolled array of stats. The next step will be to calculate the derived attributes. You have hit points, willpower points, sanity points, and something called breaking points, which are derived from those stats. They represent physical and mental resilience. When your agent is hurt, exercises mental fortitude, or is traumatized, those scores can often drop. For step 3, we select professionals. We select the profession and skills. What does your agent do for a living? Profession dictates what skills your agent has and the number of bonds he or she possesses. Skills require special training and come from schooling, experience, or personal interest. Skills are measured from 0%, no training, to 99%. No skill ever goes beyond 80%, however, for starting characters. Defining bonds is step 4, and this is a big one, as bonds are the pillar of stability that your agent has with groups or individuals. As stated before, the number of bonds your character starts with depends on your profession. Each begins with a score equal to your agent's charisma stat and will degrade as they encounter more and more trauma. Finally, for step 5, it's the final details: age, name, nationality, motivations, of which you can have up to 5. Mental disorders, and also whether your agent is adapted to violence or helplessness. As a core mechanic, DG operates with a roll on or below the utilized skill core mechanic on percentile dice. Rolling above the skill means that the attempt failed. Rolling 100 or a matched failure results in a fumble. This can have bad outcomes like physical or mental burnout, exhaustion, confusion, and other maladies. Alternately, rolling a 1 or a matched success means that the roll was a critical success. Willpower points are next. Willpower points are your mental fuel. Agents require willpower points to keep going despite exhaustion, to resist unwanted persuasion, to resist the effects of terror and mental disorders, and on some rare occasions, to resist or enact unnatural rituals. Low willpower points means that generally that an agent whose willpower points hit 1 or 2, they typically have an emotional breakdown. The agent suffers a minus 20% penalty to all actions until the willpower points rise above 2. When you completely run out of willpower points, an agent collapses, completely incapacitated and perhaps unconscious. The handler typically controls your agent until willpower returns to 1 or higher. An agent with 0 willpower cannot succeed at any tests, including sanity tests. Regaining willpower points is very important. When your agent gets a full night's sleep, but no more than once in a 24-hour period, he or she regains 1d6 willpower points. If you play up one of your agent's personal motivations, which you can see on page 38 of the main rulebook for the player's guide, in a way the handler finds compelling, your agent will regain 1 willpower point. Next up is combat, which is pretty simple. To speed up play, Delta Green does initiative in descending dexterity order. Combatants who tie for the same spot go at the same time. During a turn, a character can perform one action, including but not limited to aiming, performing an attack or called shot, escape, dodge, move, wait, or more, and more. Critical successes, as with other skill rolls, occur when a character rolls a 1 or doubles. Critical hits, such as dealing double damage, is rolled for that weapon. Special note here for something called lethality in this game. When we're dealing with guns, it's very dangerous. It's extreme in that way. In this game in particular, combat, and especially combat with guns, is extremely lethal. Guns will kill you quick if you're not careful. Some weapons, automatics, explosives, machine guns, etc., have something called lethality. When a character successfully attacks with a weapon that has this trait, they then roll that percentile chance. If the second percentile roll falls on or below that lethality rating, the target is reduced to 0 hit points and is dead. If the lethality roll fails, both 10-sided dice are added together for the total damage. This speeds up combat considerably and inhibits the need to roll 12d6 to find out if a rocket attack successfully killed someone or not, as an example. Next up is Sanity Threats. The 3 types of sanity loss are violence, helplessness, and the unnatural. Whenever you roll sanity on a success, you suffer the first listed loss, or the minimum possible with a critical success for sanity. On a failure, you suffer the second listed loss, which is usually the maximum possible with a fumble. There are different types of insanity in this game, 3 to be exact. Temporary, which is whenever you lose 5 or more sanity from one incident, you go temporarily insane until the handler says you snap out of it. Next is indefinite insanity, in which case each time your sanity hits your breaking point, 2 things happen instantly. 1, you gain an indefinite insanity according to the threat, of which you can see examples in the book for. Then the second is you reset your breaking point to your new sanity minus your power score. So it keeps getting lower. Permanent insanity is when your sanity drops to 0, in which case you go irretrievably insane. In this game, you have something called resistance, however. You can resist sanity loss and insanity through adaptation and the strength of bonds, but there's always a cost. Adaptation is where you lose sanity from a threat 3 times without going insane. You become adapted. When adapted to a threat, you always succeed at sanity tests for that. You cannot adapt, however, to unnatural threats. For violence, you lose 1d6 charisma and the same amount from each bond. Helplessness, you lose 1d6 power and add the same amount to your breaking point. Then there's something called projection. When you lose sanity, you can spend 1d6 willpower points to reduce the sanity loss by that amount. You reduce 1 bond by half that much, rounded up. The next time you interact with that bond, you get to describe how that connection deteriorates. And lastly, as far as resistance goes, there's repressing insanity. When you suffer temporary insanity or an acute episode of indefinite insanity, you can try to repress it by focusing on the people who depend on you. Spend 1d6 willpower points. Reduce the bond by half that much, round up. The next time you interact with that bond, you describe that strain. When you attempt a sanity test, you add the bond's value as a bonus. If it succeeds, you stifle the symptoms of insanity and regain control of your character after all. And one of the last things to touch on is actually one of the most important parts of Delta Green that makes it stand out from everything else, and that is the home scenes. A long-term Delta Green game features occasional scenes that focus on agents' everyday lives. Use them to explore the things that are most important in your agent's life, and the cost of involvement in Delta Green's, in that organization. And as part of it, you have what are called personal pursuits. At the beginning, you choose one personal pursuit. You describe how your agent is pursuing it and roll the appropriate test to resolve it. Here are some examples. Fulfilling responsibilities. You roll sanity for one bond and add its value as a bonus. If you succeed, you roll 1d3 and you add that to the bond. If you fumble, you subtract 1d3 from that bond and you subtract 1 sanity. You can establish a new bond, which is where you roll your charisma times 5. On a success, you gain a new bond equal to half of your charisma. But you also reduce another bond by 1d3 points. There is the inevitable go to therapy, but lie about it, your traumas. You make a luck roll. On a success, you gain 1d3 points of sanity. On a fumble, you lose 1 sanity. Then there's the flip side to this. You go to therapy and tell the truth. You make a luck roll, and at a minus 20 penalty, if the therapist thinks your encounters with the unnatural are delusions. If you succeed, you gain 1d6 sanity. If you fumble, you lose 1 sanity. The last two are improve a stat or skill and study the unnatural. When improving a stat or skill, you test that stat or skill. If you fail, you add 1d10 to a skill or plus 1 to the stat. And when it comes to studying the unnatural, you basically have to ask your handler what happens. That's when you're, delving into the occult and the unknown appropriately. Here. Okay, so that's all for the rules for right now. We'll cross the other bridges when it comes to the mechanics when we get to them. Right now, we can get into the swing of things and begin our terrifying tale. But before we do that, let's introduce Ben. Ben, tell them who you are, where they can find you online, and who you're playing this evening.
Hi, I'm Ben Big Dad Walker from Carrying Comfort Studios. You can find me at Danger McJeebus or on Discord as Big Dad. I hang out a bunch of places. And I am playing National Park Service Ranger, Evan O'Reilly.
Evan, all right. Awesome, thank you. All right. So, with each one of these chapters for our campaign, I'm going to start with a little vignette, a little very short scene, and then we'll proceed to introduce all of you into the narrative. You'll meet your handler, and you'll receive an assignment of sorts. He ascends into the darkened attic, holding the fire axe. Moving to the center of the room, he switches on an overhead bulb, revealing a woman tied to the chair. She's gagged. He removes the gag and begins asking her for the truth. She says nothing at first, blinking away tears. He becomes visibly upset and begins yelling at her. He demands to know what she really is. Cautiously, she begins to tell him that he's delusional and that this isn't really him. He tells her that he knows that she isn't really human and once again demands to hear the truth. This time, she remains silent and just stares at him. Growing frustrated, he screams and brings up the axe. She closes her eyes, but there's nothing. She dares to look and sees the hesitation on his flushed face, eyes swollen with tears. This man still loves her, but he's too close to the edge. The axe is still poised to fall. When their eyes meet in the gloom, she finally speaks. We've been here since before you people climbed down from the trees. Her voice trails off, becoming a muffled noise that melds together with the white noise ambiance of the upstairs. Tunnel vision sets in. He doesn't appear to be listening anymore. Instead, he just focuses on her eyes. When he looks into them, he knows that at this moment, she isn't his wife any longer. She is something else. The axe trembles in his hands, palms slippery with perspiration. She continues to talk, growing more animated with every passing moment. Finally, he screams again, and the axe drops. All right. So, you all operate out of a particular state. I don't know if you had a specific one in mind for your character's home and background. We can just say that you work out of the Pacific Northwest, if that's okay with everybody. Regardless of where you live, whenever you get called in for an assignment by your handler, it's usually through a message in your voicemail. It's always a pre-recorded message saying something to the effect of, you're cordially invited to another night at the opera, which is another way of saying you're on call again. Regardless of wherever it is that you live, you know that whenever you receive that message, you're on call. You have something like 12 to 24 hours to show up to a preordained location and meet with your handler. Usually instructions will follow, and you have to make all manner of excuses to your boss and get letters of recommendation pushed onto them by the higher ups to make sure that you get on that plane and you arrive to where it is that you need to go. This time you're in California. You meet up with your other fellow agents at the airport in the motor pool. You rent the usual. You go through the process of renting your vehicle, and you start heading out to a predetermined location to meet your handler. His name is Barnabas, and you've worked with him before. Tall, muscular man. I always envision Dennis Haysbert of the Allstate commercial fame. But you know that he's former military, some sort of special ops, operative of some sort is what you imagine in your mind every time you see him. Often talking about gun porn or something like that whenever you come across him. It's his way of coping with this particular kind of job. You pile into separate vehicles at the airport and you make your way out to this place right on the edge of a large forested area. It's right off the main highway. It's pretty desolate. It's in the middle of the day. And you can tell Barnabas is here because you see his big SUV nearby, just parked off the side of the road with the hazard lights on. There's a little dirt road that rides up. This place is used for small game hunting and target practice and so on. But the place is closed from what you can tell. He's still here though. And as you're driving up, you hear the reports of gunfire echoing off in the distance. You drive up and you see he's handling what seems to be like a large assault rifle, and he's standing at the edge of what seem to be these posts that he's using as target practice. As he sees you coming up, he waves you over, and he goes over to his SUV and pulls out a suitcase. Waves you over like, here, come take a look. He doesn't want to stop what he's doing right now, so he kind of sets the suitcase nearby where he's at by the fence post, and he starts taking aim again. Fires a couple shots into the distant targets. You see nearby he's got a cooler with a series of beer cans and bottles. After he finishes them, you see he walks it down to the length of this range that he's established for himself, and he just starts taking shots. This is all after you clear the main gate and go up the dirt road to approach. You all emerge from your respective vehicles. How do you proceed?
Probably get out of the car. Do we all come in the same car or the same pool of cars, or?
That's up to you. You can always pack each other into one or two vehicles as you wish.
If anybody rode with Flanagan, he is constantly talking about how he's glad he didn't get this call last weekend for his daughter's birthday, where his brother and sister came over and they had put a slip and slide in the backyard. He's told this story 3 times on the way here.
If anybody came with spots, then you probably pissed your pants on the drive over. Road rules mean nothing.
The rest of you, I imagine, are pretty quiet. You've worked with one another before, but it's been, very infrequent. One thing about the outlaws, or the cowboys as they're typically referred to, is that they're slowly deteriorating as an organization, and you all know it. But part of this job is the willingness to keep going and to keep fighting despite losing and being the underdog in this situation. Not compared to the program, who is actually officially government funded, of course, secret slush funds and what have you, but they are the top dog in this particular relationship between both sides of the conspiracy.
As usual.
So
I'm alone, just so you know. I didn't ride with anyone else. Got an old Kawasaki, never take sunglasses off, grimacing even if it's cloudy. Pop 2 prescription pills from the bottle. Knock it off it, swallow it with water.
Excellent. You see there's another pair of agents here that you actually haven't worked with before. They look pretty professional, whoever they are, but they don't look new, that's for sure. You could see it when you look at them, especially those of you who have been with the Outlaws for some time. They have those tired, dead eyes quality to them. Man and a woman. The woman is pretty tall, lanky, sturdy looking, very serious, stoic, sunglasses. The man, not so much. He's a little short, schlumpy. He looks kind of like Michael Biehn. If he'd been on a bender for like a week,
I've met Michael Biehn while he's been on a bender for a week.
Okay, so you have some first-hand experience here.
Yes, I do.
He's a little bit more amiable than the woman. You don't know who either of them are. You've never worked with them before, but they're here before you are. They're already here chatting up Barnabas when you arrive, and he's like, you see, he's dressed pretty casually for the most part, but he's smoking a Cuban cigar as he's and he kind of hands off the assault rifle to one of the two, and the guy just kind of abstains. The woman takes it and looks at it and it's like, yeah, that's pretty nice, hands it back to him, and they're talking shop as you come up. Welcome back, he says. Been a long time. No, it's infrequent that we get to see each other. I trust the in-flight movie wasn't too terrible.
If you're shooting, I'd like your protection, please. It's really important to protect the hearing.
Oh yeah, he motions to the earmuffs or the earphones that he has wrapped around his neck. He's not shooting at the moment, but yeah. Safety first, right? It's like, I trust you flew in okay. We have some new developments that have come in. This is Agent Cordelia. He points to the woman. And this is Agent Cooper. He points to the schlubby Michael Biehn. It's like, these two are on loan to us by CISO. They're with intelligence gathering and analysis. They're going to be assisting us in this particular project. This is a little unorthodox, even for you all. Most of the time, everything within your cell is kept compartmentalized. There's no fraternizing between agents, especially within different cells. So this is a little unorthodox already. And as far as the hierarchy goes in standard protocol, you're always told, although a lot of agents break this rule, never to reveal your true names to one another. Always use your cell name, as it were. So depending on which cell you want to belong to, you can say that your agents Daniel and Donna and David or whatever, and use that instead of your actual names when referring to one another in character.
What is our cell name? That's a question to the players. Mike,
Anyone have a favorite letter?
Oh, if I could provide a recommendation, the scholars. Yes.
It's just like
character.
It's a letter.
cell and it's like cell and letter, right?
Yeah, you pick a letter of the alphabet, and that's what you derive your cell name from. So if it's S, for example, you're Agent Sally, and he's Agent Sam.
God,
I was
W.
just a
W6.
W.
I was trying to go in
W6.
character there.
W6. Why W6?
Because W7 was too on the nose.
Why not? Why not WD-40 in that case?
Oh wait, is it? What's our name? Is just starts
The
with a W.
So
Mine's Winnipeg.
mine's Warlock.
Agent Warlock. I knew this was gonna happen. Okay. Warlock. All right.
Winnipeg for Sean.
Winnie.
Nope, Winnipeg.
Winnie.
Never shortened.
Okay. So write down
Walter.
your agent names. Walter. Okay, good choice. Yeah.
Oh
You should
boy.
actually change. You should actually change Zoom to the code names because I'll put them on you.
Oh
You
jeez.
can think about it for now. But yeah, he assumingly Barnabas and the other two agents already know your code names. They've already been briefed on who you are and what your specialties are and so on. So these two suits show up regardless of how you're dressed, and they look pretty professional. As a matter of fact, the woman has you notice has an earpiece set inside, like very Secret Service like. And you see Barnabas is like, Cooper and Cordelia here are going to be helping us with this next assignment. This is a big one that comes from the top.
Nope, I lied. My character's name is Winnebago.
Winnebago. Winnie. All right.
Bago.
Nope, still Winnebago.
Are you in everything, Bago? Or
It has begun. He's like, does anybody, before we get started, does anyone want to take a turn? He like points to the assault rifle. It's like some tricked out, FN FAL or something, fancy like that. If anybody wants to take a turn, otherwise he's just gonna be like, all right, shrugs and puts away his toys.
I was going to say no, but then you told me it was a foul. So yes.
He's like, this is a nice one. Trust me, he says. He lends it to you, and he lets you take a couple shots with it if you want. And he's like, check out the compensators. He's talking shop with you. He likes to do that. This is his way of coping. You realize. Eventually, though, after the fun is had, he's like, all right. He's like finishing up his cigar. He's like, let's head in a little bit more private location. He opens up the gate and you guys go in. Closes up behind you. There's like a small little office inside. Administrative office. It's closed. Of course, he has the key. He lets himself in, hits the lights, and he tells you to take a seat around the room. There's various, desks and chairs lying around. It's an administrative office, so it's, just imagine like there's a couple computers nearby. There's a water cooler,
Ooh, definitely sit in
Set of
front of a
bathrooms.
computer.
Yeah, set of restrooms in the back. He's in front of the computer, and it's like, oh god, this is such a bad choice. You're like, this thing doesn't have more than a gig of RAM on it. What is this nonsense? Like, it's some crappy old computer.
He's already looking around the room trying to figure out other computers he could like splice together. Make a better
They're already networked, but badly. Yeah, you can already tell. Barnabas comes up and he brings in the suitcase, puts it on a table, he opens it up, and inside is a laptop. Takes it out, and with it, underneath it, there are several file folders, dossiers, etc. Lays them all out on the table. Our asset was able to supply us with details on the program's latest human intelligence gathering initiative. This one involves a rather unusual source of information. Inside the suitcase, inside this laptop, contained dozens of sessions with someone known as John Cross. You may have heard about this guy. He got picked up a few years ago by the FBI on multiple kidnapping charges. No known priors, no history, nothing. It was as if one day he just fell out of the sky. If you recall, investigators initially found no evidence connected to the disappearances. After the cases went nowhere for a year, Cross suddenly showed up with a bag full of used kids' shoes, turned himself in, and confessed to whatever charges they threw at him. Because of the recent moratorium on the death penalty in Colorado, they sent him to ADX, Supermax prison in Florence. They never found those missing kids, by the way. So he starts going through stuff in the suitcase. It wasn't until after he was in prison that JC started to talk. Normally, the reports we read about this guy sounded like the ramblings of a lunatic. Claims to know when the world's supposed to end, spouts off some tired, nihilistic nonsense. You know the type.
Don't they all?
The program sat on most of it, but we kept listening in for months, trying to see what it is they saw in the sky. Then one day, he dropped a doozy. 2 years ago, a young woman went missing in Virginia. She was a cheerleader, all-star student, so the case made national headlines. After a year of no leads, the family eventually just declared them dead. In one of the sessions, Cross played some word games, which caused one of the investigators to discover the missing woman's location at a lake connected to the Potomac in West Virginia. Well, turns out they were right. A few weeks prior, some idiot fishing with dynamite on the lake started finding hands, fingers, and toes, along with a smallmouth bass.
Were they not his?
They were not his. But what they found, the investigators there were able to confirm the woman's identity using DNA tracing and managed to find a clue that implicated someone close to the family who dumped their body at the scene. Case closed, right? Want to know the really eerie part? Ross was already locked up at ADX when this cheerleader went missing. There's no way on earth he could have known where she ended up. And yet he did. Ever since then, we've been keeping an eye on JC. For whatever reason, he's been giving the program a wealth of information on a whole host of cases. We have had a group of agents write down and record every damn thing this motherfucker blabs about. We also have different cells out there poking around, validating the intel. So far, everything we looked at has checked out 100% accurate. We had to parse through a lot of bullshit, however. Most of the time, he doesn't answer direct questions, and instead goes off on some irreverent tangent about nothing. Oftentimes, he doesn't even address the investigator by their correct name. There's definitely something off about this guy. Some speculate that he might be some old decover operative from the Majestic days, and that John Cross is just a cover name. Others have suggested he operates some kind of remote viewing or what have you, a special gift we don't fully understand. I can't vouch for this, so I'll leave that to the experts, and it kind of makes a look at Tyler's character. Regardless of who he is or how he knows what he knows, he still has a lot of information we can use. First order of business, however, is this prediction that he made about people dying out at UC Berkeley and monsters. Need you to look into it. The university has been the center of some controversy recently, and this time not for the usual kinds of reasons. Inside the folios, you'll find persons of interest at the university, local law enforcement contacts, maybe of some assistance. As usual, we want to keep this quiet and compartmentalized. The program is still out there and using this information one way or another. They may have people on the site watching and waiting, so watch your backs. I expect regular situation reports every 48 hours. Use the standard encryption methods of communication, and don't get sloppy. He says, looking at Winnebago. Any questions? Good. You start right away. I'll be nearby, feeding you information, making contact with you and relaying this information. Agents Cordelia and Cooper here will be supplying the information. They are the ones who brought this intel to our attention. This comes from the top, so it is obviously very important that we pay attention to what's going on. These predictions that he's made seem to be coming true. And regardless of how we feel about that, we need to try to mitigate the damage that is being done by whatever forces are out there that are killing people off or causing this sort of havoc to happen. He's like, whatever information you need to relay to me, give it to them first. They'll disseminate it, and they'll be handling the operating procedures when dealing with this information. This is case sensitive, he says, and he taps the laptop. There have been incidents with people who have sat down and watched these sessions through and through. So we've taken the burden off of a lot of our agents and have instead transcribed some of these sessions. You can read all about it. And that's where he kind of lays out some of these like thick, stacked, double, triple, stapled transcripts of these sessions that take place, but usually between 1 or 2 investigators and John Cross. If you have any other questions, ask them before you ask me. And if you need me, you know how to contact me. Unless there's anything else, I'm gonna pack up my things and go home. Smiles and he's like, watch yourselves out there. He leaves everything else on the desk. He's got he's already put away his assault rifle and everything else in the SUV, so he just kind of like puts out the cigar, tosses it, and exits the room, leaving you and your 2 new cellmates to chit chat or what have you. They came in their own vehicles together, so they're just like, pleased to meet all of you. You see, Cooper says, this will be the first time working with you, so I'm hoping that we keep it as professional as possible. I understand that you all have your uses. Like we will operate. Our specialty is operational security. So anything that you need to have passed, any questions you have on how we should proceed, usually go through us. And if we don't know the answer, that's when we look to Barnabas specifically. They both kind of take the different dossiers out and they start passing them out to each one of you. Apparently, what Barnabas was alluding to was that UCLA Berkeley recently came in, or was in the headlines, at least because of some crimes that took place there, mainly among their staff. These are the kind of things that grab headlines nationwide, like, holy shit, this is a prominent university, and this is what happened there recently. This was something like 5 years ago. There was a guy there, for instance, and this is what they're telling you as part of the information gathering that they've already done on this particular case. Like UC Berkeley came into contact with this guy called Robert Harper, a theology professor at the university, who apparently murdered his wife 5 years ago and was sentenced to life in prison because death penalty is currently also on moratorium in California. So they just basically locked him up for life. He proclaimed, according to reports, that his wife wasn't a human being anymore. And when Cordelia goes over some of the other profiles, some of the other things from UC Berkeley that kind of called out to them, she pulls something from the recent transcripts that somebody had to sit down and write out, where John Cross referred to something that was going on, referred to UCLA Berkeley specifically. And she reads directly from the text. Like, okay, so what John Cross seems to be warning of, what Barnabas and your cell is being tasked with, is the investigation of this line of dialogue. And she kind of reads off like a back and forth between the investigator and John Cross. And the one line that caught their attention was, more from UCLA Berkeley will die unless the monsters hidden in plain sight are stopped. And she's like, there's more to this, but this is the main thing that raised the red flag for our cell in particular. Shall I continue? She says, and she's like, she's making a cup of coffee like in the little break room over there and on the side, just passing out for anybody who wants a cup of coffee, because it looks like it sounds like you're sitting down for a reading or something like that. This is going to be a long afternoon. You can already sense it.
Yes, please, caffeine. Something to keep me awake during this boring thing where we find out who we need to kill.
Get a half
Yes.
cup of coffee, fill the rest with cream.
Nice
I
choice.
pull out my thermos and just
You're already set.
Jumping, killing there, huh, white lady? I'd like a coffee with 2 sugars and no cream, please.
You see the look on Cordelia's face is that of like, oh shit, I'm a fucking barista now. And she's like, sure. She kind of says with this dry tone. She goes and starts making her drinks and starts passing them out.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to imply that you were. I'm
she
so
just
sorry.
turns around,
I can
walks
get
away.
it.
You see, Cooper is just like, oh, and I want like 16 sugars, and she just kind of continues making the coffee. He winks at her. He comes back, and she gives you your different coffee preferences, and then she starts going. She sits down for the longer read, and every time anyone reads from the transcript, mind you, the actual videotapes or the recordings are on the hard drive to the laptop. You can watch them all front to back if you want, but Barnabas and these 2 agents in particular, like, don't watch the tapes. That's what these are for. They hold up the transcripts. But even when they read the transcripts, all of you get this weird, it's like you feel like someone poured a slime bucket right all over you. Like you feel like you need a shower after they read anything that this guy says, this John Cross person. He's like, get ready. All right, well, buckle up, she says, and she gets in her chair and she's like,
why aren't we watching the tapes? Isn't that just easier?
We could watch the tapes. I don't recommend it based on the fact that one of the other researchers that we had to take a very long leave of absence from the project.
Vacation?
Why was he weak?
I don't know. I've not watched the tapes myself. I understand this is just what we've been told, she says. It's like, don't, if you do watch the tapes, do so sparingly, is what I've been told. Instead, it's probably best if you only just stick to the transcripts. She looks around the room for consensus.
There might be some sort of subliminal message in the tapes or coding.
That's getting into some very esoteric territory, she says. Not my specialty, admittedly. We're just following orders here. You see, she's like, no, if I may, unless one of you wants to read this instead. And you see Cooper's like, I think you've been volunteered. So yeah, I think I've been voluntold, she says. And she says, okay, fine. And she's like, this slanted universe is permeated with the rotting flesh of dead gods. Do I really have to read this? She says, and she looks at Cooper, and Cooper's like, come on.
Yeah, I can read it if you want me to. I don't mind. But then I can't take notes.
Fine, I'll fall on my sword, she says. This slanted universe is permeated with the rotting flesh of dead gods, festering beliefs, and worst of all, your collective dreams. Yes, the stench of this reality is inescapable and penetrates even onto your dreams. Because while you see these fantasies and nightmares as just temporary sequences created by your brain when you sleep, they are actually real places with real connective tissue to the dreamlands. Realms that are home to things your mind could never conceive of or even understand. They have heard you dreaming. They wait and they watch. That was the rest of the interchange between John Cross, and she's like checking notes on the sidebar of paper, like investigator Downing. Okay, like
From the back of the room. You're not wrong.
she kind of takes a sharp look at you, and it's like, whatever you say. Now that seems to be the consensus. She says, however fucked up John Cross is, whatever it is that he's selling to the program, they're buying it. Hook, line, and sinker every single time. And apparently his intel is real good. And that's why they're keeping him around, I guess. And trying to use that information to solve these cold cases, I suppose.
Is it possible
It's weird that
he's
he mentioned
set
UCLA.
something up and then
We're talking about ADX Florence. We don't have that kind of pull. We do have someone on the inside the program. This is very hush-hush information, and that's how we get our sources. That's how we got this. And she points to the intelligence on the table. Beyond that, getting an audience with John Cross, not likely to happen. Not anytime soon.
well, I'm saying, like, did he play a long game? Like, lay all this out and get caught?
That's the thing. This guy's been psychoanalyzed left, right, and center, up and down for years now, since he turned himself in. And psychologists, psychoanalysts, they can't make heads or tails of this guy. He doesn't make any sense. This guy doesn't fit the serial killer description. Like, there's something weird about this guy, and we don't know what it is exactly, but stranger things have happened, as she says. But this is what we're being tasked to do right now, is to... Personally, I think we ought to shoot the bastard and be done with it, but I'm not in charge. You see, Cooper's like, yeah, that would be easy, wouldn't it? So we're dealing with a potential death or multiple deaths. More will die. More from UCLA will die unless the monsters hidden in plain sight are stopped. What exactly is he alluding to in this particular case? Where do we begin? Or where would you begin? He says. He looks around the room to the rest of you. They're just here for operational security and such.
It's probably some cult or something. That's what these things always surmount to.
A cult? Okay. It's
Okay,
like, I
it's the
understand
Greys
one of
again.
us is a bit of an expert on the subject, and she looks around. I forget which one of you it was. Was it you?
The guy with the
Sorry,
tattoos on his face just sits there. The cult is never the end, Wild, merely the beginning. And to think otherwise is foolishness.
Well, I mean, not obviously not an established cult like yours. However, wait, you're in a cult, right? No, you're an occultist. No,
The end is everything else dying.
Please calm your anxiety, Wild. It is flooding my brain.
no, I'm not anxious. I'm excited.
I just stare at you.
You've all worked with each other before, so I trust you know what it is that you need to do. We're just going to let you take the lead on this. We'll just provide guidance in terms of how we approach the situation. UCLA Berkeley might be a little bit of a hotbed for program activity at the moment, so we'll take you by the hand as far as that's concerned. We'll watch your backs, make sure that no one's following us. That's our job, predominantly. And reporting to Barnabas, of course. The rest is completely up to you. How would you like to proceed?
Do we have operating expenses or anything?
The typical sort, yeah. You have usually Barnabas will give you like a lot of cash, a couple $1,000s worth that the group can use while they're in town. Everything else after that is like individual funds and stuff like that, in which case you're gonna have to explain something, have some explaining time with your boss or your wife or your significant other or what have you. There's not much in the way of persons of interest on the case. There's a lot of historical stuff from UCLA Berkeley that kind of stands out to you, that they've highlighted as the prelude to this investigation of yours. In particular, there is some information regarding some people that went missing from there. It may or may not tie into JC's claims that more people will die, etc. But then there's the recent political situation that is taking place, and that's a very big event that Cordelia and Cooper are well aware of, and one of the reasons why they're in town. It looks like the presidential race for 2024 is already shaping up very, very quickly, and one of the candidates is actually running as a third-party candidate, a woman by the name of Lindsay Grimes. And she is set to speak at UC Berkeley before the end of the month. It's not stated as to when, because that's closely guarded information, but that's information that they're privy to. All that they know is that the university knows that it has booked her as a speaking engagement. She's going to go out there and try to rally support for her candidacy in the far future, because everybody's, on that kick right now. So that's currently what's going on. And those two are particularly worried that whatever JC has alluded to may take place at the time that she arrives to make her speech, or what have you, take her tour of the campus.
I'll take any files you have on the history of the place, any ancient cultures that were there before, any psychological reports you have. I'll take those too.
The psych reports from their last couple of years are very interesting. Robert Harper's especially, he hands you a couple sets of folders, worth of information. These are just copies of the official files, so what you will with them. But anybody else?
We'll take those tapes you said that should not be watched, please.
All right, just make sure they come back to us. We've already booked a place, an office, right down the street from UCLA Berkeley, in their campus. You'll be working out of there. It's a very temporary office space, nothing fancy, just a couple of cubicles, a couple administrative offices, that sort of thing. Nothing out of this world. It's in a little strip mall. It's very out of sight, out of mind.
What kind of internet hookup you got there?
They have like an encrypted,
Cool.
VPN
I like the word
satellite shit
encrypted.
going on.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
We're good.
So you'll be happy, they say. Should be adequate, I suppose. So Barnabas made sure to accommodate you accordingly. So if you're ready to go, we can take you to the office we will be working out of until this issue is resolved, or until Barnabas recalls us back home.
Oh, is there a possibility that I could possibly maybe get a staff badge and use the library from time to time on the property? Maybe even
On
have
campus?
access to talk. Yeah, maybe even to have access to talk to the professors. I mean, I do have a PhD. Might as well use it, right?
We can get you in. That's not a problem. We're already on protective duty on site with the team, so we can get you anywhere you need to go within the university campus.
Perfect.
And you see, when she says that, Cooper pulls out a badge and it says DSS, Diplomatic Security Service, and so that you get that sense that these two are like Secret Service bodyguard types.
Oh, it'd probably be best if I didn't walk around with someone who looks like a cop.
To dress however you like, Dress
Well,
for the job
no,
you
I
want
mean to
Cooper says.
connect with the students and the other staff,
Sure, that's as casual as you like. Like I said, if you need access, we can get you that access. It's not a problem.
Great.
All right, well, if everyone's finished with their coffee, we can load everything up in the vehicles outside. We can make our way to the office. You can get situated. Where you can stay wherever you like in the area. I would recommend nowhere farther than 10 or 20 miles away from the office, though, in case we need you right away. And they give you a couple recommendations.
Already got an Airbnb about 2 minutes from the building.
Already ahead of the game, I see. Cooper says. I like your style, he says. All right, let's get in the car. Do any of you do anything while you're at the office or on the way over to the on the drive over?
I'm on a motorcycle. Multitasking is unadvised.
Agreed.
Make a
Anybody else?
stop at the local supermarket to get snacks. Some sun-kissed orange and yeah.
Oh, yum.
Wow, you're all in on the
Okay.
bad things. So.
So yeah, you make a couple stops on the way over to the office. They're driving together in what seems to be like a four-door sedan with tinted windows and the whole 9 yards, government plates. They lead you down there, and they give you a copy. They give each of you a copy of the key to get in. It's like a electronic badge or something like that. You just pass it in front of the door, and it lets you in. You see, like it's in this small little strip mall. There's like a little laundromat and a little restaurant down the ways and stuff like that. The rest of this side of the strip mall is completely emptied out. It's gutted out, like completely out of business. So to the left and to the right of you, you have no neighbors. You can make as much or as little noise as you want, and no one's gonna care.
Nice.
To let you in, and it's very bare bones inside. It's just a couple of cubicles, a couple tables thrown together, a couple small computers networked together. There's a satellite unit for making encrypted calls and so on and so forth. That's about it. Do any of you do anything when you get there? Once you actually get to the office?
I'm gonna watch those tapes, but I'm going to do it in the side room, if it's a closet where no one else can be exposed.
Yeah, there's an administrative office with the window, but with the blinds, so you can close the blinds, shut the door, lock it, sit there and watch the
Earphones
shit
for audio,
with your
yes.
peepers. Does anybody else join the guy with the hoodie and the face tattoos, like taking the laptop into one of the offices?
No, but
If they tried, I would just turn and stare at them, close the door slowly in their face.
I would be the
Okay.
person that gets the door closed in my face, and then I'm going to be talking shit about Warlock and his stupid face.
Hey, Warlock, I got some sun-kissed for you if you want to.
I will graciously accept your sun-kissed.
Looks like you're going to be in there a while, so,
if you could take notes on the imagery, that'd be great. Thanks.
You have their notes. It's in the transcript.
Yeah, but those are their notes, not your notes. Your notes are different.
good point.
Excellent. All right. You can start playing the scary music now if you want. You're going to watch any of the tapes at random, or is there something specific that you're looking for?
The whole thing, start to finish.
Oh my God.
To make it hurt.
How many hours of tapes is this?
There's a lot of hours of time that you can spend watching
In this
thing.
immediate moment, just what's related to our case specifically. I don't want to
Okay.
hear what he has to say from a piece of paper. I want to watch him say it.
You see, you pull up the one that's labeled on the transcripts as taking place on such and such a day, such and such a time, etc. And you can see the Donegal or whatever his name was opens up the interview like, "Welcome back, John. Good to see you again." "You're lying." "Yeah, I'm lying. How did you know?" "I always know." You see, like, whenever you pull up the video, it's always like it's taken from a couple different angles at the same time, and every single time it's a really bad blurry sort of image of him. Like, it's never easy to get a real crisp look at this guy's face. He's generally speaking male, Caucasian, probably in his 30s or 40s or something like that. And he has a really weird range of voice. Like, when he talks, it sounds like it goes up and down. And there's accents, and then it's gone. Like, it's all over the place. Very hard. It's very confusing to listen to him talk, just for starters. But he sort of talks very slowly and deliberately. And he's like, "All right, John, we've been through this many, many times. What did you do with those children?"
At this point, let's get real. I'll activate telepathy, which allows me to pick up empathy and emotions through electronic media.
You don't have to. Because the moment you start, as soon as you start playing it, like you get it's almost that same feeling when Agent Cordelia was reading the transcript out loud. There's this there's definitely a sense of deja vu when you start watching these tapes, Warlock. And in particular, he just seems to be almost like toying with this guy, with this investigator. And he's just like, what did you do to those missing kids, John? I need you to be honest with me. I need you to tell me what happened. Did you hurt them?
Mental energy coming off John feel human.
Somewhat.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah. You see, he's just like, oh no, I would never hurt a child. What did you do to those kids, John? Where did they go? Oh, we just went frolicking, he says. What the hell does that mean? Oh, we fell through houses made of sand and razors. I took them to the shores of Halley. I showed them all the funny things about this funny world. And the investigator is clearly like, God, this fucking guy. I need a straight answer from you. This is a confession. Do you understand? You're going to tell me what you did. I already told you. You seem to be looking in all the wrong places, detective. You don't understand, do you? No, John, no one understands you. Why don't you help me understand? Why don't you tell me what you did? Even when I'm dead and gone, you'll always be able to find me, detective. Because you see, I live inside every single one of you. I'm that little voice of trepidation that speaks to you every morning when your eyes flutter open, and every night when you close them again. In a way, you've known me your entire life. You recognize the sound of my voice as your own, and you fear the greater truths that I have to offer. But one day, one terrible and wonderful day, you will remember my words, and you'll remember our special plan. When he says that, you're just like there's something about what he's saying and the way he's saying it that like you almost feel like you've heard this before. And then he kind of turns slowly towards the camera in the rear of the room, and the image sort of flickers for a moment, and he's looking right at you.
I'll make eye contact.
You can't see his face very clearly, but you can tell that he's smiling into the camera. Who are you looking at, John? Who are you talking to? Are you talking to me? Keep looking. Look closely, he says.
I do.
All right, cool. I get to do funny shit. Let's see here.
Funny shit.
Moment. Let me find this thing because you are pushing all the right buttons today, Tyler.
Delta Green. Why would we start slow?
And I sent you something inside asking about picking a door.
Here we go. These are, he's like, there are greater truths. They're not revelations or epiphanies, quite the contrary. You see, we've always known about the greater truths from the moment we were spawned into this churning, never-ending nightmare. These truths have been with us since the beginning and will continue to be with us as a guide. Well, after we are all finally done with, they speak to us with the small voice of trepidation and fear. Fear of one another, fear of the future, and the fear of death. And when he says that, he kind of like he's not speaking to the investigator. He seems like he's speaking directly into the person watching, like he knows someone's going to review this later. And there's something about what he says about greater truths that hits a certain chord inside of you, because you know things the others don't. And when he starts speaking this nonsense, as the other ones say it, there is a ring of truth to it, and it disturbs you. Roll a sanity check.
Good start. 8%.
You fucking made it. All right, you just lose 1. You got this really spine-tingling, cold sweat feeling when he talks directly to you. And when he says, like, look closer, he doesn't literally mean like look closer at him. You seem to get the idea that he wants you to keep going.
Right. I also want to know if I recognize
some part of
the
you is just
shores
like,
of Holly. By the way,
the assurance of what? I'm sorry.
the shores of Holly he was referring to. I want to know if I recognize that.
Oh, you can roll it. Yeah, you can roll a cult.
Would
see if you know
unnatural
that
be
one.
better? Because my unnatural
Unnatural,
is
yes.
higher than my occult.
Yeah.
Hard success.
Hard success. Excellent. You know exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about going to other realms, this guy. And he's like, that is, if he can do that, that's really powerful. Devin, give me a be a good roll for that.
No, that's not Arkham Ambrose. That's the Dreamlands.
I mean, both things have been mentioned.
I feel like this would be a... Yeah, give me a... well, if you're trying to do it sneakily, go ahead and give me a stealth roll. Otherwise, you can try to give me a dex roll if you don't have that.
I do not. And honestly, this is... How long, Tyler, were you planning on spending in there?
I don't know how long the tape is.
Okay, so how long is the tape that he's been watching for then? Just the length of time he's been speaking? Or
he's just watching a session, which is like, we'll say, an hour and 30 minutes or something like that, So he's watching it front to back.
Also,
So, yeah.
I'm facing the door, so...
Okay, so yeah, you'd have to roll like pretty damn well.
Yeah, I don't care.
Dexterity.
I still will get annoyed after about 30 minutes to try and open the door and fail.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to sit there after about 30 minutes and just be like, bum, bum. Are you done yet? Bored.
There's one other thing that he talks about, and this is completely flying in the face of anything that the investigator asks of him. Like, at some point he calls him by a different name, and he's like, my name's Daniel, like, whatever. Look, we've been at this for a while already, John. I need you, just tell me what you did. What did you do with them? Why did you turn yourself in? And he goes off about something called the dream. There's a dream we all have. It's the one where they're dancing around us, faster and faster. And we're just stuck there, paralyzed, holding on to our masks, are pale and sorry masks. And as they spin like out-of-control planets around the sun, the mask begins to crack and slip. It falls away to reveal that we're just like the others. Gray, formless flesh with hair and teeth. No eyes or ears to perceive reality around us. Nothing at all. Just these crooked, wide mouths with the jagged teeth, eating one another and screaming in silent eternity. We were never really ourselves. The masks only led us to believe that we were human. We thought we were human, when in fact, we're never really anything other than an elaborate illusion. A dream. You see the investigator just like, okay, we're done here. Thank you for your fucking time. Like, packs everything up, and he's just like, wipes a bead of sweat off of his head, and he's just like starts packing everything up. He makes this motion to off camera, and you see that the tape just comes to an end of the session, and he just kind of, John just sits there with his hands neatly folded, like, you know, his fingers steepled in front of him, very calm, you know.
I watch it till someone actually ends the tape, not just when the investigator leaves.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, the tape eventually just cuts off as the investigator gets up and starts walking around. So you hear him still on the mic, like fucking lunatic motherfucker, and he's like starting to take the mic and off.
I close the laptop and saying to no one in particular, "My mask was shattered long ago when you got." And then I walk back out to the rest of them.
You said he had 36 pairs of shoes that he turned himself in with, right?
Yeah, bag full of used kids' shoes.
So they were used? Are there pictures of them?
Yeah, you see, like when they brought, like this was a national case, right? Like a bunch of kids went missing.
Oh,
and,
okay.
You know,
so there was a association between missing kids and this dude.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they put it on display, and like they showed the evidence, and when the family saw the shoes, like they just broke down in court. Like,
got it.
Those are our kids' shoes. Fuck.
I walk back out to the common area.
Okay.
I ignore White Lady. I announce to the room,
grumbling profusely.
I announce to the room, but to no one in particular, he's real. We should listen. What remains of him is less
Still
than
searching for
human.
bugs.
What remains of him is less than human.
Wait. Legit bugs or like listening bugs?
Both?
Fair.
Valid.
I look at Walter. Doesn't matter. Something can always hear us. It's
Yeah, but I
listening
want to
right
know
now.
if it's something mundane. You can't trust the program.
You can't trust
Damn
your
12
eyes.
motherfuckers.
Can't trust any of you losers.
Is there anything you do while you're at the office for the moment?
I want to search for bugs.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh
Give me
no,
a roll.
bug.
Oh, I have a 70.
I know,
Let's
search
go
for
with that.
bug. Bug is the best.
Might accidentally find Tav. Worse.
Nope. 98.
98. Oh, it's
Whoa.
clean.
Good start.
Everything's fine.
You do know that Cordelia and Cooper were the ones who initially set up this little office space for you all on behalf of Barnabas and C-Cell. And they are like Secret Service agents, so they're trained to look for tails, and they're here specifically so that you don't have to do that sort of stuff. So when they see you, like, you know, checking underneath chairs and behind light switches and stuff like that, they're just like, "What are you doing?" And it's like, "We already did this."
Sure, there's nothing spooky boo in this office except me.
They specifically address Ben's character,
Walter.
Walter. Yes, Agent Walter. We've already taken the precautions here. There's nothing to worry about.
There's nothing wrong with me taking a look.
And you see that they look at each other, and Cooper's like, "Oh, I get it. He's paranoid." You know, you hear him like we're saying that under his breath. It's okay. Just let it go, Cordelia. Just let it go. See, and she's like, "Yeah, okay." Anybody else doing anything after Warlock exits, or during the time that Warlock sits there for an hour and a half and just pounds out this that session?
Wild will have begun going through the files, however long that'll take, and correlating various bits of information that seem to be connected.
You were given the psychological profiles, and something about Harper's psychological profile is really interesting to you. This is the theology professor that murdered his wife 5 years ago. He's a theology professor at UCLA. He murdered his wife. He claimed up and down, and he admitted to doing so. But even after he was arraigned and charged and everything, like, he still maintained, despite the fact that he is 100% guilty of the crime, that it was justified because his wife was no longer his wife. It was some other weird entity that he couldn't really describe with words. The reports read that after he beheaded her, he proceeded to try to dissect the body. He was looking for something inhuman inside of her. Obviously, he didn't find any such evidence. He was charged for murder and sent to jail. And they wrote a whole opinion piece in the newspaper, like, you know, under regular circumstances, this guy would have been sent to death and blah 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 blah. But because of the moratorium, he's locked up for life in prison. Blah blah blah. He's still alive. He's still serving out a life sentence in, I don't know, St. Quentin or wherever.
I'll have to schedule an interview with him at some point.
Winnebago has
You should probably let me talk to him because we have much in common. The difference is Control covered my crimes.
Winnebago's got like 4 screens up. 2 of them have old kung fu movies on them. The other one, I want to develop quick AI to like scan through the wife's like social media profile to see if there's any like minute distinct changes in the way that they're posting or what they're talking about or what they're hashtagging.
Would they still keep a social media profile? Excuse my ignorance. After a person has been murdered,
They don't go away.
They don't go away.
It's actually a whole process to get into it if you're
Yeah.
not the person, even if you're the next of kin, and if you don't, yeah, it's there forever.
Yeah.
It's actually a whole like terminology for ghost accounts.
It's probably also not even. You could probably get it back if you have the right law credentials too.
Yeah.
That, and you can also petition certain social media places to make it kind of an in memoriam situation, because my dad's Facebook is that.
Yeah, you can make a computer use roll. You certainly have credentials and access that you could use to get into something like that. It's just, you know, this is just like you know, developing a small like an application AI, whatever, like to basically scan it for specific keywords or something like that.
Normal success.
What are you looking for?
Just like I said, distinct, unique changes. Like there should, if he believes his wife was something else and was continuing to social meds, I'm looking to see if something changes and when, where, what they start talking about, as opposed to what they were talking about.
Okay. Yeah, you run it, and you find out that there have been, based on everything that you see on here, she's definitely within the leading up to the time that she was murdered. She had changed some things about herself. In the logs for social media page, it shows that she changed certain aspects, certain features on it, like the profile picture changed, the status changed, the frequency in which she was posting about, you know, doing things socially with her husband or things relating to her job. Also, it comes to, and this is the one that really throws up a light bulb over your head. She too worked alongside him at the university as a history professor.
Okay. Cool. Is she posting anything significant about certain things? Like, is she talking about something over and over in posts? Is there anything that's gleamed from what they're posting about?
Did you get a regular success or matched success?
A regular success.
Regular success. You notice that it actually the account goes pretty dormant after some of these changes were made. Like
Okay.
it's just complete silence. Like there's not a bleep on there, which is, I guess, sort of unusual, but at the same time, like people do that all the time with their social media accounts for whatever reason. So it's, kind of a shrug, but at the same time, like leading up to that moment, the amount of social media activity drops significantly from previous, high and low and regularity posting.
Okay.
Not a whole lot of activity there. Yeah.
I'll point this out to colleagues that she definitely did change. There definitely was something different about her, but don't know what.
This kind of reminds me of folklore from the Celtic countries where they had the changelings. The fairies would take away the children or even sometimes adults and replace them with
A doppelganger, you see, Cooper says.
I start listing off alien species that swap brains to wild. Like these? List.
Can't trust the Greys.
They're on
my
the list.
specialty, my
Number one.
specialty isn't extraterrestrials. It's more like Earth type
You think there's a
entities.
difference? Where do you think those stories came from, child?
So
You see his face just. He just sits there with his jaw open. He's just like,
Eric, is it possible to run that algorithm over time against some of the other workers at the place, the college?
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to say, would it be possible for me to have done like a history of all cases of people who either claimed or someone they know went insane, or like deaths by insanity, or claimed insanity of those reasons, like my significant other was no longer themselves, and just cross-reference all the location data of that, where they were in the nearby
you could
area.
search for that just in the on the internet in general. Yeah, you can roll for that. Do you have like computer use?
I have computer use or forensics, for whichever you want to count it as. Cross-referencing all the data.
Cross-referencing, that would be computer use, or
Okay.
yeah, something like that.
An out of character question while he rolls that.
Yes.
How many times have I worked with Winnebago specifically?
Oh, you worked a couple of missions together, a couple of assignments. Like
Okay,
follow
so in
this
that
person,
case-
do this. Yeah.
Case of someone randomly changing identities without their knowledge. Looks at Winnebago. Fascinating. End of comment.
I succeed with an 11.
An 11, match success.
Well,
Fantastic.
my computer science is 20, so
Wow. Okay, so this is a really lucky hit. Well, okay, I'll give you what you
That's what I
learned,
want.
and then we'll go to break here in a moment. So you actually start looking on the internet, like people who are not themselves anymore, etc. Like they're not people anymore, etc. And you start coming up with a bunch of, like, it's almost like a subculture of people that are convinced that the people they know, people that they've known their entire lives, over time, didn't go crazy, didn't change in any way, but they became something else. They were taken over, some people call it, or being possessed by other entities, other creatures, or extra dimensional beings. It runs the entire gamut, but a lot of the stories seem to have that similarity, those things in common. And because you rolled an 11, it seems you actually catch one of the websites and posts that you find actually has a link. They directly post a link to the story, citing Robert Harper's murder of his wife. And one of the things that they say, one of the things that you notice also is that Cindy wasn't the only one. Somebody leaves a comment on that particular page. Like when they posted the link, they're like, it wasn't just her. There are others as well. Outsiders, they're called. And with that, we'll go to break. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. That would be 9:54 Eastern Standard Time. returned from our break. Our agents have established a small little office space down the street from UCLA Berkeley, where they have begun their investigations into the person known as John Cross and the supposed prediction that people will die soon unless they act on his information. And so far, our agents have been searching for bugs and kicking things right off with the paranoia and finding none at the moment. And they have also found some interesting tidbits when searching the social media pages of one deceased Cindy Harper, university history professor and wife to Robert Harper, the theology professor at UCLA Berkeley, who was charged of his wife's murder. So Devin, you found Megan, you find a string of sort of subculture posts on the deep net that talks about this conspiracy that they believe are about people who aren't really people anymore. And some people argue that they have been replaced, like body snatcher style, and other people believe that they're actually like shape-shifting alien things. And some people look to more cultural mythologies to explain what's happening, that these people have been replaced. There's a lot out there, and it's hard to parse all of it and to glean any meaningful information. But the one thing that you did run across was some user that is part of this little subculture community posted the link to the article that went into detail about Harper killing his wife, and made the comment that Cindy wasn't the only person at UCLA that was one of these so-called outsiders. How would you like to proceed?
What is their username?
It's an internet username, so it's like let's see here. DM Law.
Is that a common username? Like, are they obscuring their information purposefully? Is it easily figured out?
I mean, it's D as in D M and then Law. It could be like they're a dungeon master or something like that. You have no idea.
Dungeon master lawyer. Rule Nazi. This guy's an asshole. Shit. Okay. No, I mean, like, is it possible to, like, is it going to take some work to figure out who they actually are, doing a sort of
that depends on how well you roll. Anybody here who's good at computer use could potentially start backtracking this profile and find out essentially who this person is. It may take a little bit of time to get all the information through legal channels or what have you. It depends on how you approach it, really. And how well
I'm going to flat out in front of Winnebago, knowing full well that he is a hell of a lot better at me than this. Oh, this is so great. I already have a good lead. I mean, look at this. You know I'm going to be able to figure out who this guy is. Nobody's better than me at this. In hopes that he actually is going to help, but if he doesn't offer it, fuck him.
So Winnebago's going to look over his shoulder and wait till he absolutely fails, and then use whatever little bit of usefulness he's had to build off that and start building an actual profile and trace.
Okay, you go through the usual sort of
hold on. If you're gonna wait until I fail, then I need to roll and fail.
Winnebago is gonna help, not help, basically.
So computer science roll for this to see if I fail.
If you get lucky again somehow.
A 17.
No shit. Look at that.
Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious?
17.
That's awesome.
Buddy. All right. Cool. So you did it twice. Congratulations. what is it that you're looking for? You're looking for like the information on the person behind the profile?
Yeah.
Yes.
That profile is listed as part of a Facebook or some other social media website. It has a link to it, like, oh, like this person has a blog, etc., and here's their username, profile, whatever. Like it's linked to that, so you kind of make the jump over and you see it's a he obscures the last name, but he says his name is Daniel, and that he does it. The law in DM law is exactly what you said, Winnebago. He is a law graduate student. Education, UCLA Berkeley.
We have enough to figure out who this actually is.
Yeah, like, can we cross-reference his? Does he have a photo on there?
Yeah, the photo. He's he's just like a brown-haired, Caucasian-looking guy. He's probably in his early 30s. He's not too old.
I'm gonna actually this time just look at Winnebago and say, "Hey, Winnebago, how do you make this thing? I want to search for his face."
So Winnebago goes in, prints a picture or copies it, prints a picture, scans it, goes and calls, like FaceTimes one of the faculty managers, I guess, and like, hey, is this guy is wanted for reasons of suspicion, blah blah blah. Do you recognize him?
You want to call the administration at Berkeley and say, hey, one of your students is wanted for XYZ crimes?
Or just like, we want to ask him questions in relation to a investigation about whatever law he's into, whatever fraud.
Okay, so this is where we're going to get into some very interesting mechanics that I personally use, regardless of what system I'm using to run Delta Green.
Slight
really
interruption
enjoy.
on that note.
Yes.
Push the product because the publishers like us. Tony,
Yeah,
Drive Through
it's
RPG.
a pretty,
Get it. It's sexy. It's a great game.
This is a different.
100%.
Yes.
It's an awesome. Yeah, it's very pretty to look at. Very nice to read as well.
Carry on.
The mechanic in question is what I typically refer to as exposure.
Exposure.
Yes.
I'm
you're
not making that
Delta
type of
Green-
FaceTime call.
Not that kind of exposure, but I like where you're going. No, exposure is what you risk every time you sort of start waving your badges around
Mm-hmm.
and start asking for information or start, doing things out of boundary for your organization. Basically, because you're working for this conspiracy, there is a chance every time that you do this that you risk exposing your involvement in, criminal activity or abuse of power. So I've developed a very simple, very straightforward mechanic. Exposure goes from 1 to 6. You are on exposure 1, right? Every time you start waving badges and start, pulling your weight as a investigator or, extra special agent or whatever, you're going to roll exposure, meaning you're going to roll 1d6. And if you roll over that number, then it goes to the next step. So you go for, let's say you have exposure 1 out of 6 as you do now. And you start waving your badge to get access to a coroner's office or report or something. Okay, roll exposure. If you roll a 2 or higher, your exposure is now 2.
Okay.
And so on, and so on, and so on. When you reach exposure 6, the party is over. That's when people start getting arrested, you lose your job, and so on, and so on, and so on. So, if we're going to start that, I would like you to roll a d6.
I rolled a 2.
You rolled a 2. Exposure is not 2. So superficially, that means nothing. That just basically means that you're leaving a footprint where you're walking, so to speak.
Okay.
So if something does happen, they can look back and go, oh, you did X, Y, Z, and this is why you're losing your job. This is why you're being arrested, etc. Okay. So track your exposure here. And this is permission. So when you're done here and you go home and whatever, like that all gets wiped basically when you start the next scenario, so to speak. So exposure is 2 out of 6. Excellent. All right. So you
Question.
call up the admissions director or what have you at this is interesting actually.
Like the adjunct or not adjunct, the dean of the law school or something like that.
Yes, you call up. All right, so you get in. You go through the right channels as you call the school, and you try to get a you're like, hey, what do you tell them exactly? Like, oh, I'm with such organization or whatever. Like, are you trying to fast talk your way through them, or are you trying to give them legitimate credentials to say like, hey, I need to speak to somebody of importance here?
Do I have who do I work if I'm doing that? Like, is there a typical group that we work for, or like, do we identify?
That depends entirely on your character. So most Delta Green agents are either federal employees, like Park Ranger or what have you, an FBI agent, Secret Service, or they are what are called friendlies, or a specialist kind of character, like, oh, I am an expert researcher, anthropologist, whatever, whatever your field of study or of expertise is, that's who you are.
Okay.
So if you wanted to put in a call and be like, hey, one of your employees or one of your former students is wanted, is on 50 different watch lists or whatever, what can you tell me about him? I need to look at their file. You might have better luck if your call comes with a badge attached to it, like say Cordelia's or Cooper's, or even to some extent even Ben's character. I'm blanking on right now.
Sir.
U.S. Park Service. This is our crime scene now.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He may
this
or may
is
not
the part
be
of it.
kidnapping bears.
He's kidnapping bears.
My guy is a computer scientist, so I imagine he's just an associate for the most part. I would I don't want to I don't want to openly accuse this guy of anything, because that's not the point. I just want to see if he works for them. What's he do? What's he into? Because I have questions related to the law that he's working on. Like, he seems to be connected to a local investigation.
What skill would you want to use to do that with?
Good question, because I realize I'm doing this and I don't have any real social skills.
It's your charisma.
Yeah, wow.
If you have bureaucracy, you might be able to use that. Or you could, if you don't have anything like that, like persuade. If you don't have anything in those skills, you can try using a charisma score, but it's probably going to be a lot more difficult. You're probably going to get a -20 on that.
So like the charisma is 45%, so I'd have to roll under 45. Is that how that works?
You have a 45 charisma? My goodness. All right. Say 35%.
Okay. Rolled a 1.
Did you now? You rolled a 1.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. So you call up the dean of the law department at Berkeley. You get a guy by the name of Andrew Wolf. And Andy seems to be like a man who's maybe in his late 40s or 50s.
Mm-hmm.
Not a whole lot of personality there. You see, he just looks blankly at you through the FaceTime, like, what is this about exactly? And you're like, oh, go ahead.
I'm calling about one of your, what would you call? Oh, one of your graduate students. Seems to be in relation to some cyber crimes that is related to his law expertise. Just want to ask a couple questions, but I need some contact info. Don't have contact info. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Real
Anything
shocking.
we can do to help?
Yeah, that'd be great. That would be awesome if you could help.
Name?
My name?
Their name.
Their name. Oh, well, I just I just sent you if I could get your email, I'll send you a picture of him, see if you recognize him. I think did we get the first name? Wasn't it like Dan or something like that?
Daniel.
Andrew.
Daniel, yeah.
His
First
name's
name Daniel, don't have a last name, but I got
Last
a picture
name
here.
probably begins with an M.
Oh, yeah, M. Daniel M. He's totally an M.
There are many Daniel M's in our registry. Mr.
Yeah. This I just emailed you a picture there.
Do you give him your name at all, or are you just trying to be
Fuck
like
no.
yeah, some rando calling out like, yo,
I do flash a badge or get dad over there to flash a badge, and yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Walter, I just like Walter, just flash.
Not flashing a badge over the phone.
He's just like, you do realize that there are procedures that you would have to go through to attain this sort of information.
Right, but I just want to go through like the normal procedures, just some not normal procedures, but abnormal procedures, just to sort of obscure the investigations because we of the nature of the investigation, if you will.
You see, he kind of looks off to the side. And he's like, Daniel M.
Yeah.
We don't have facial recognition software here, sir.
Not asking, just see if you recognize him. He was a graduate student. You being the dean.
From what year?
Oh, good question. What like
it does have the year listed.
Oh yeah, it does have. Okay, give him the year.
He's like, you hear him typing something into a computer database, and he's like, okay. Daniel Mason, Daniel Mora, Daniel Moore. And he kind of keeps going down the line like that. He's like, could you just
sort wow, a lot of Daniel M's were graduating in the same year. Weird. Cool. Could you just give me a list of those? That'd be great. And then thank you for your service.
He just stares into the camera at you, and he's just like, thank you. And he just closes the call. Moments later, get an email response back, surprisingly, from Wolf.
Right.
And it has like a list of names, Dan M, of different varieties that graduated that year. There's maybe like 5 or 6 of them or whatever.
It slowly dawns on Winnebago that he probably just John Connored this guy. And we might need to ask fast to figure out which one he is.
Sure.
Yeah. Look up all those names with that data and see if we get a match on
cross-referencing the stuff over. Sure.
Yeah, social media profiles, just see if we get a match on the picture. Like, oh yeah,
don't need to make too much of a role here. You spend the majority of your afternoon doing this in the office until it starts to get dark. Eventually, before dinner time, after you take a break for lunch, you come across like the connection between yes, there's this person runs a social media site that matches with this profile, and it seems to match this particular person right here. Like you start looking deeper into the profile that I keep blanking on these names, excuse me. That Megan, Devin's character Megan, or White Lady,
White Lady,
was able to WL was able to attain, and you hit the jackpot. Yeah, you find out that it's not Daniel Mora or Daniel Munoz or whatever. It's Daniel Moore, Moore.
Cool. I bring this to the group and be like, so we might need to go check in on this guy soon. Might have accidentally John Connored him by talking to a creepy guy over the phone. Stuff.
You do?
Like happens.
You just killed our main lead?
No, didn't kill him. More like maybe killed him because one of these somebody might go looking for him.
God damn it! I gotta fix things again. Where?
Go looking down a list of DMs and try to
No.
them.
Where do we go to find him and save his ass?
Here's the address and all that fun stuff. Here's where he works.
Yeah, with that information, you can find like basic.
Say, what time is it about now when he's giving us this?
early evening, just before dusk.
So yeah, he probably like hit up an Arby's, came home, watched the Netflix. He's probably okay for a bit, for a while. You know, maybe. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure we got time.
All right, who's coming with?
Quick dinner.
Who's coming with me?
So White Lady seems to be moving towards tracking this Daniel Moore down and talking to him specifically. What do the rest of you want to do?
I'll be going with.
All right, that's 2 with Walter.
I mean, I feel responsible for the poor bastard, so I'll go.
I'm driving.
I'm
Okay.
going wherever the team goes.
Oh,
So Wild.
Wild, aka Daniel Jackson, will be going. And by the way, whenever someone says the name Daniel, he's like, huh, what? Oh shit.
Oh.
So he'll actually be going down to the UCLA library and hanging out in the section that talks about stuff like folklore or sci-fi where people get replaced.
Beautiful.
Seeing if anyone else is going down to those sections to research. Oh crap, my partner is acting so weird. I wonder if this has anything to do with it. So
Very good. Excellent. All right, so the majority of you pack up in one of the vehicles, one of the SUVs.
Oh, I follow
Cooper
in the,
and-
in the motorcycle.
Okay.
That's-
Very good.
Close proximity is
I'm-
not good for me because I can hear everything you assholes think. Looks at White Lady.
Cordelia offers to go with you, just to act as Overwatch, and Cooper offers to go with you, with you, Wild, to the library to accompany you. So that way, if you need special access or something like that, he can provide you with that.
Oh yeah. Did you grab my fake teacher's badge by any chance?
You have a fake teacher's badge?
No, badge. Well, that's the thing that he had asked before in the ready room.
Ah,
To be on staff.
fake credentials, sure, that's done, not a problem. He gives you some fake faculty staff badge that you can hook onto your shirt and lets you get into different places. Whether you do so or not, then we'll start rolling exposure. But I'll get to the rest of you here in a moment as you start to, jet down the ways to get to this Daniel Moore person. He actually lives further out into the city. He works at a small law firm. It's obviously closed right now, so he's likely at home. That's exactly where you're heading. Making his way, I don't know where he would live probably, but he probably lives sort of like a nice upper class condo of some sort. He's in a law firm after all. So he probably makes pretty good money, and he's staying there. It's nothing difficult to get into or anything like that. It's just, but it does have like your typical sort of like buzz-in gate or what have you to get access. So I'll let you cross that bridge here in just a moment. For you though, Ambrose, Wild, you're accompanied by Cooper, who takes you by car. He drives you himself to the onto the premises, and you see like there's posters and signs and stuff like that in different areas of the university, with the name Grimes 2024, and it doesn't list a specific date or anything like that, but everybody's sort of anticipating when she's going to show up. It hasn't been officially or publicly disclosed as of yet, but it's probably going to happen sometime later in the month or whatever. And you see there's quite a bit of activity even at night here on the campus. He takes you straight into the main library, to that classification of building, and then when you go inside, you see that there's a group of younger upperclassmen that are working on paper, and then a couple of tables down, somebody's rolling dice on the table, like quietly, like whispering to another group of people that are assembled, and you see like they're like they have these books and like they're writing stuff down on pieces of paper and stuff, like, oh, I do this, and and you see like as you're looking into the section on changelings, there are some people that have already checked out the books and are actively like reading them and stuff, and there has been some activity on that front when you go to ask for specific books, and they've already been checked out or whatever, or they're put on hold.
Is there any chance I could get a list of those names? using those books for a curriculum that I'm building, and I was really hoping that they'd be in, so I could.
Yeah, you see the young girl at the counter. It's like, yeah, sorry. This one that you're looking for in particular, and she points to a book that is about like the old cultic myths of people being replaced by changelings, is on back order. It's a very hard to acquire book. It's an old volume, very expensive, and apparently it's been gone for some time. It looks like the last time that it was checked out and never returned was a few months back.
Oh, any chance that it's a student or faculty that I could maybe kind of put the bug in their ear and convince them to return it so I can check it out?
Oh, well, you're gonna have to talk to Audrey Balmer. Well, she's the director of programs. Looks like she checked that out and never brought it back. She's long overdue, I'm afraid.
Oh, huh. That's interesting. And she might even be able to help me with the curriculum and what to classify it under: folklore or history or even psychology. Maybe a bit of all three.
Perhaps so.
How about those other books?
The other ones, yeah, no, the other ones are actively, and like she starts like, well, this one got checked out yesterday. Somebody was doing a turn paper. I was here for that one, and then like it's like, yeah, a lot of them have been checked out, but the rest are actually over here. And like she goes to like the return bins, like they've already been returned back. They just haven't been put back on the shelf.
Oh, okay, great. Any others that seem to look like they'll take a while getting back? I'd really like to
I'd
get
like to know that
eyes.
myself, actually. She says, you can actually ask Balmer. I think she's still on the campus. I think she's going to be in the faculty room, though. That's going to be down the hall, around the corner to the right. It's like the third door down, right across from the trophy room or whatever, the gym.
Oh, great, thanks. Yeah, I guess I look pretty new, huh?
Oh no, nice to meet you. She introduces herself, and she's like, yeah, no, Audrey's she's okay, but she's obviously late on returning her book. But if you want to find her, she's probably going to be there with some of the other faculty members. They like to hang out a lot together.
Oh, great, thank you. I guess I will, for now I'll check these out for good measure. He looks at some of the other older books and goes ahead and checks out like 2 or 3, just to make it look legit.
Sure, yeah. You check out a couple of them on the badge or whatever, and she's like, all right, happy reading.
Thanks. I love reading.
Cooper's just standing around like, Lord, out of my mind.
Yeah.
What do you do after that?
He will go somewhere in the stacks just to look around a little bit more, see who is walking around in that section.
Just a lot of underclassmen, just looking at different books on mythology. Somebody's looking at the Arthurian legend, and you know what I mean. Like this is that section that has all the different types of mythologies from different cultures around the world.
Okay, and then he'll check out the sci-fi section that deals with different sorts of extraterrestrials if they have one, like not the science fiction, but
Sure counts.
more like urban tales kind of situation.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you come across all sorts of weird stuff: the Mothman, the Jersey Devil, and Bigfoot, and you come across all sorts of stuff like that. And they all seem to have the same sort of traits. Like they're these fantastical tales, no real evidence, but lots of eyewitnesses' accounts and stuff like that.
Are there any of the books that sound kind of similar to what we're researching?
With regards to the people that are being replaced and so on. they do talk about there. You do come across some of these alien books that talk about like Manchurian candidates and fake people that are constructed by aliens. Supposedly, they cite like all the different times that the U.S. has intervened in foreign affairs of overseas. But they have alleged in some of these books that the people that the U.S. has installed as yes men, for lack of a better term, have actually been these fake alien constructed people, non-people, as you wish, as some of them put it.
He'll make a note of those books to see who checks them out at a later date, after he's done reading the books he's checked out.
So you put a special interest on those specific volumes, like, hey, can you let me know when these get checked out or something? And like, sure. And you exchange information, like, yeah, you can call me on this number or email me or whatever. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, sure, we'll let you know. Absolutely. And you see at some point she's like, what is this concerning exactly? Are you doing a research paper or what is this about?
No, like I said before, I'm writing a curriculum on that whole phenomena about when people are replaced. There's also a mental illness that you think everyone around you is an imposter, and I'm trying to make a connection between the psychological effect of that mental illness combined with the historical evidence that this illness may have existed before. And it's going to be a fascinating course. I hope it gets approved. That's the point of being here. But
excellent.
When I find out who
persuade?
Oh damn. It's a 40 and I got a 51.
That's good, because I was going to give you a persuade roll with a bonus because you actually sold it really well. So I'll say that you succeed in that extent. Like, oh, you're running a paper? I understand. Sure. Anybody that do you want to put them on hold?
No, actually, I kind of want to get a survey of how many students would be interested in a course like this.
Oh, certainly. Okay, so they start like writing down a list and stuff like that. Oh, okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind, it's a very casual survey. It's not anything official. So I just kind of want to get a feel for the campus environment.
Of course, I understand. Oh, not a problem. And like, they jot down some information. They give you some contact info. And is there anything else I can help you with?
Oh, no, that's perfect. You've gone above and beyond. Thank you.
Not a problem. You see, Agent Cooper's like, you find everything you're looking for?
Oh yes, this is my teacher assistant Cooper. He's doing this for.
He's like, yes, that is what I am.
He's not very pleased, but that's okay because we're gonna go grab something to eat now, right?
Yeah, and you're buying. He says, and he turns to walk away out of the library.
Okay, yeah.
Do you follow him out, or is there somewhere else inside the campus you want to frequent?
He's actually gonna follow him out and research the book that's been checked out for a very long time. See what it is. Probably download a digital copy and give a brief run through before he decides to talk to the Amanda Bonner.
To Audrey Bummer. Yeah, the director.
Oh yeah, sorry, Audrey.
You flip through the books and you actually discover that not only is there's actually something new in there that you didn't know about. There's something where they allege that some of these changelings weren't physically real, but they actually came to our realm in a different manner. And some allege that they can do it through the eyes. Like if somebody locks eyes with you and they contain the changeling inside of them, they can pass to somebody else, and then they become this. They can shape change or change who they are physically to become identical to somebody else. And there's others that say that they invade your mind through other means, like when you go to sleep. And it kind of correlates with the old myth that when people go to sleep and the changelings come out, they switch the bodies out. it kind of speaks to what Robert Harper was talking about, where this person over time just became someone completely different. Like it wasn't his wife anymore, and to a larger extent, it wasn't human anymore. They weren't the same person. So, and you're like, well, that's interesting because it talks about how it's still the same thing. It's just a little bit different, where it's like instead of them physically being swapped out when they go to sleep, it's something that happens internally, and they change.
Fascinating.
With that, do you leave the premises or do you try looking for Bomer on site?
Depending on the rest of his group, he will either go meet up with them or he will stay there just doing some research and look up Amanda on like the faculty information
Audrey.
page. Why do I keep saying that?
That's my wife's name. But no, that's Audrey. Okay. Audrey Bomer. Yeah. Okay. So you stay on site for a little bit and do a little bit of research, or you check in with the others while they're with what they're doing before you proceed?
Oh yeah, he'll shoot either a text or an email of the information he's learned.
Okay. You communicate that to the rest of the group, and we just shift the camera to them as you arrive at the condominiums that Daniel Moore lives in. It's a little bit of a gated community type deal, fake security, not too surprising. Nothing that would, be a challenge for any of you. Currently, it's just like a buzz-in system where like you punch in the number and the gate opens and you drive in. It's one of those things.
Were you going to say something, Ben? Eric can't always
Yeah,
see cameras.
I wanted to know what kind of law that Daniel practiced.
What kind of law? Criminal law.
Okay, that's very important to know. Because we can't bully him as much as we could, like a personal injury lawyer. Anyway, looks at the text. So we're looking for a boner, according to Wild.
God damn it.
I think Wild's on a wild goose chase here.
Excellent. Yeah, you all get this message. It's like, hey, I'm looking into an Audrey Bomer, possibly at the library on the campus. How's it going over there with you all? This is around the time that you get there and start making your way inside. Are you trying to call the apartment that he resides in through the little call button and the front gate, or are you trying to use other subterfuge to get in? Or tradecraft, rather.
Just flash your park badge.
I was just gonna hit the buttons like Grubhub on each one.
That's actually good. I like that.
Well,
okay,
if you
and
have
that-
persuade,
and that certainly beats what I was gonna do. So yeah.
Yeah, if you got persuade or charisma, go ahead and roll that. Probably
Alright.
work 100%.
Let's go, charisma.
What are the odds that he ordered that?
59 out of 60.
Son of a
Nice.
bitch! All right, yeah, you're just like Grubhub. When you see here, he's like, I didn't order anything, and you're like, you're like, well, I don't know, yeah, what do you want to sell him on that you've got?
No, I'm just gonna keep
supposedly
hitting different numbers in until someone opens it up for their Grubhub order.
got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Eventually, like, oh yeah, cool. Like they open up the gate, you just drive right on in. Fantastic. You drive up. He's on one of the top floors, like the third floor of like the 6th building or whatever. Plenty of parking all around. These are like high, people drive like expensive cars and shit, Beamers. So you park your SUVs and you park your motorcycle off to the side Warlock. How would you like to proceed upstairs?
I'm really
Or would you
sad
wait
about
for him
that
to
poor
leave?
hungry guy now.
He's like, where's my burgers, bro?
Fuck him.
He'll be excited in 20 minutes when the guy says he already delivered his order. Third
do you
floor.
wanna
I'm going up the
proceed
stairs.
Up there, or... Oh, okay. So I wasn't sure if all of you were going, or if some of you were staying put, or waiting for him to
Yeah,
leave. Or...
I feel
I'll
like
go.
I'd go. I don't see any reason to stick around.
All right, fair enough. Start marching up the stairwell. Nothing out of the ordinary. You come upon his door and you hear classical music playing faintly on the other side of the door. It's nighttime now. You knock? Call him? What do you want to do?
Somebody's probably playing music while they murder him in his sleep.
All right, so do you need me to
What?
kick the door down? Because I mean,
Why would they play music?
I'm
before they
kind
murder
of used to
him?
kicking doors down.
Muffles the screams.
But he's sleeping. They could just.
I listen to a lot of true crime with my daughter.
I think I'm just.
Cordelia is just like, you are
Let's just
fucked
knock.
up. You know that?
Let's just knock.
Look, I'm a single dad. All right, it's hard.
I'm about 2 seconds away from
I literally
stepping
knocked.
into the door.
Cordelia recognizes that you're like anxious to get in. He's like, just knock on the door, all right? I can use my badge if we need to get in. Just want to ask questions, remember?
Questions. This idiot might have killed him already.
We don't know that.
We don't
yet,
know
genius.
that.
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, just keep your
Cordelia's
eyes peeled for any like weird alien creatures with ray guns or bullets.
She muffles under
Stop-
her breath
stop
as she hits
saying
the
this in the
buzzer like, I
hallway.
thought I was working with professionals.
Weird alien creatures. I'm looking at you.
Hey,
Eventually, you hear from the call box, the little buzzer. Yes. It's like a special agent Cordelia, Secret Service. We need to talk. You have a warrant? No. Good
not
day
that
then.
kind of talk.
No, you don't understand. No, you don't understand. You're not allowed to come in here. What is this about exactly? And then she kind of looks to the rest of you like,
The outsiders.
If the
Sir, do you
outsiders
post them-
hear us, we might get killed right now. So may we come in and talk?
you fuck. You see, like, there's a long silence. Who the fuck is this again?
Hold on, sir. Do you post under the username DM Law?
None of your goddamn business.
He does.
Well,
the
it is.
fuck
We're
are
very
you?
worried for your safety. We believe your life is in danger.
Somebody
I'll
might
roll
have
me
called. Hey, somebody might have called the law office and looking up your information
Don't
and
fuck
might
me.
have doxed
Whoever
you.
has the highest persuade, go ahead and roll that now.
I have a 50.
He's gonna roll his law. He rolled
Anyone
a
else have
66.
persuade? Anyone else? No persuade on anyone else?
I
Oh
have
no,
it.
I
I have-
absolutely should not roll this.
I have it, but it's about the same as yours. So
44.
You got a 44 out of what?
50.
Boom.
That's pretty good. Excellent.
Doubles.
You see, he's like, I'm not stepping foot outside of my apartment
Well, that-
without, or I'm not letting anyone step foot inside my apartment. He says, and he's like, I'm going to open the door, and you're going to tell me what the fuck you're doing here and how you found me. And then you
Sure.
hear like there's a door opening on the other side of his door, and it sounds like he's rummaging through something. Then eventually the door opens a crack, and there's there's several latches actually that he undoes before the chain extends out and stops the door. And he kind of peeks through. Who does he see immediately on the other side?
Dad,
It's gonna
definitely
be.
Dad.
It's gonna. It's gonna.
disarming face.
Yeah. Yeah.
with the hat and the outfit, like, sir.
Yeah.
Which
Hey,
one?
he-
There's two
He does
of
not
them.
wear the full. He does not wear the full like outfit in like the city.
Oh, okay, got it. Are you dressed casually then?
He wears like a cheap black suit.
Okay, fair enough.
Something
you
believable
fit in
that
with
like,
Cordelia.
an agent would wear.
Yeah, okay.
The idea he goes
he
for
looks-
is like a
Do you have
plausible
ID?
federal agent.
The first words out of his mouth, do you have ID? You see
You really need
Cordelia's like,
ID if I was able to find you. She's got
and
ID.
he's like, I want to see ID before anything else happens. And you see she kind
Okay.
of like, fine, fuck. She
I stop
flashes her. Oh, okay.
because we need to get this over with. I will use telepathy and hold out a blank piece of paper and psychic paper, so that he sees exactly the ID he wants to see to disarm him.
Oh, damn. Roll your skill.
At my sanity.
Spend your points. and make your sanity roll.
Pass on the sanity roll and the skill.
Fucking A. All right,
That's a
so you
level
only
2
lose 1
power.
sanity.
2, that's a level 2 power.
Excellent. All right, so you see he pulls out a sheet of paper. It's just like a crumpled piece of paper he found off the floor. And he's just like, official business. What is it that you want him to see?
I want psychic paper. That's what telepathy
Oh,
will let
whatever he
me
needs,
tap
but
into
yeah.
what he wants to see that would make him stop being an asshole.
You see he kind of like... What is this about?
I look at the rest of them.
The others, sir.
You know about the others? Do you know what happened about my... Do you know what happened... Do you know what happened to Alyssa?
We'd like to know more.
Thinks about it for a second, and finally you hear the last... The door shuts for a second, you think like, oh fuck. And then you hear the chain kind of rattle a little bit, and the door opens up fully. And you see he starts walking away from the doorway. He's got a gun in his hand. And he's like, he's dressed, like he just got out of work, and his tie's loose around his work shirt. And he goes and he stands up in front of the couch in his very spacious living room. He motions for you to come inside. Nicely furnished apartment for the most part, but it looks like he hasn't cleaned it in a long time. It's a lot of dust and mail strewn off to the side. You see half-opened and empty bottles of liquor of various types lining the room. It smells of ash and cigarette smoke. Sit down, he says, and he points to some of the chairs that are arranged around his room, his living room. And then after he sort of sizes you up individually, he looks to the last person to shut the door, cordially, closes the door, locks it, and you all sort of sit down. Do you know what happened to my sister?
No. Yes. Why don't you tell us in your own words, though?
So when I was going through my listings, did I find any Alyssas in those people that stopped being themselves list?
They didn't list names of people. That they were just randos that were just like, my partner's doing this. The list that you found was of the Daniels that graduated that year from UCLA Berkeley a few years ago.
I'm talking about when I was doing the list for people that stopped acting like themselves. How I found the DM law.
Oh yes, he was the one who posted the link for Robert Harper having killed his wife, and he said that that Cindy wasn't the only one at Berkeley.
Okay.
Wasn't human anymore.
But nothing of an Alyssa was in any of that stuff I found. Okay, then. That's all I was hoping for.
We have many theories. What are yours?
His name is Moore, right?
His name is Daniel Moore.
Mr. Moore, we're looking into the case of Robert Harper, and in our investigation, you and Alyssa came up. Now, we have reason to believe that some things may have been kept off the official report that they deemed as unimportant. We do know that she started acting different, like she wasn't herself.
Yes, this is true.
How about you tell us everything you know that, the suits may have thought wasn't important? We'll listen.
He's like, this is officially off the record. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I knew Robert Harper. I attended his classes. He was my teacher. And he started noticing something was wrong with his wife around the same time I started noticing the same with some of the others on the faculty staff. But it wasn't just me. My sister knew too. together we talked about this. We discussed what our theories were, and why we thought this was happening. Something's going on there. It's still happening. And these people are not themselves anymore. And we're talking about it, but Robert got to thinking that she was changed from the inside, physically.
Robert?
Yeah, Professor Harper.
Oh, right. Caught up.
And so, and he this is when he starts getting a little tight-lipped about it. He's just like, and if anybody here has human intelligence, you can go ahead and roll it now.
I have a 60. Is that enough to just get it without rolling?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
You can have that one. Go.
Yeah, you see, this when he starts talking about knowing Robert Harper and talking with him, that's when he starts to get clammy, and you realize this guy's a criminal law graduate. And he starts picking his words very, very carefully when he starts talking about Robert Harper now, which leads you to think that these two had more of a collaboration than initially thought. And he's like, when I heard the news of what he did to his wife, I was horrified, of course, as anybody would be. And you see, like, when somebody starts getting nervous and they start showing that tell, and he's like doing this, he starts becoming very anxious, animated with his hands. He's leaving a lot of details out. It's not giving you the whole story.
Mr. Moore, you're not on trial here. We want you to help us and tell us everything you can.
I think they got my sister. You see Cordelia's like, you think your sister changed like Cindy Harper did? No. I think they killed her because she started catching on to their game. She started finding out what was really going on.
But where does your sister worked?
She used to be the adjunct professor for pre-med. She's been gone for years.
Do you have any of her effects? Cell phone, computers?
No. You're asking, like, does he have any of her effects?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, not personal computers or anything like that, but he kind of points to this mantelpiece. There's like a fake fireplace there in the corner, and there are like pictures and accolades and stuff like that of her. You imagine he came into this after she was presumed dead or gone for a long time. Like, they emptied out her stuff, and this is what he came away with. And there's a picture of her prominently displayed on the mantelpiece. I think they killed her. Cindy and Wolf. Bulmer.
Wait, Wolf?
Mendez.
Hold on. Reverse. Beep, beep, beep. Wolf. Like,
yeah.
The head professor, Wolf?
Yeah. The Dean of Law?
Yeah, Dean of Law. Yes. Spoke to him earlier today. Is there someplace you can go, not here, like out of town?
Damn it.
Somewhere.
You really did.
Shut up, White. Nobody asked.
Cordelia, safe house.
You see when he's talking about
John Connard?
You see when he's talking about Wolf, he starts getting like his hands, like he's sweating, like he's just like he's breathing irregularly. He's like, I don't know how they get inside you, but they change you when they do.
Huh.
My sister knew it. when she was graduating, she came up. It's like Cindy. She saw it was Cindy first. She was her history professor. And, I think she said something to them. I think she was trying to bring attention to that, and she just disappeared. 1 week to the next, she's gone. Nobody ever found her again. I think they killed her. I know it. But you're not gonna do anything, are you? It says.
Do you know an Audrey Boner?
Bomer?
Listen, it says boner in this text message.
It's probably misspelled, but it's Bommer.
Oh no, it says boner, but I think.
Oh yeah, it totally says
Ambrose.
boner.
It says Bonner.
It said we're looking for a boner.
It's BOH.
Cordelia's just like,
and then
oh
ner.
my god.
It's pronounced Bonner. It's German.
Boner.
God damn it. You're all
I have some of
fired.
those in my family. It has an E in it. That's how you know to pronounce it differently.
Yep.
You
Boner.
he's just like, Bomber's the director of programs at the university. There's 3 of them, he says. There's Coach Mendez, and then there's Wolf and Bomer. That's the 3 of them. Cindy was the 4th. Robert got Cindy, but they're still out there.
So back to that question about, is there somewhere you can go?
What do you mean where I can go?
You know,
he starts looking around nervously.
Not here.
We
Away.
had someone with us that was good at protecting people, and I just turned to look at Cordelia, the Secret Service agent.
They can't protect us. Nobody can protect us. These things can get to you no matter what. We don't know how they do it, but it happens overnight. Robert told me himself. She stopped doing a lot of the same things that she used to do. It's like she became a different person literally overnight. They're not human, he says. There's no way to prove it. And everybody thinks he's crazy, but he's not. He's not. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy, he says.
This guy's not crazy, guys.
Just
So
'cause
And he's
crazy
like
doesn't mean he's
gripping
not
that
right.
gun that's in his lap, like he's just like fingering it. I'm crazy.
Of course not.
Could you excuse me and my colleagues for a sec, or just to take a step outside? Just
He just looks at you and he's like
conference.
kind of talking under his breath, like crazy. It's like,
Yeah, we're just gonna step out. All right. Guys.
he's just reliving all sorts of past trauma right now. Go ahead. You want to step outside?
Probably just not talk in front of this dude for a bit.
Sure. Excuse us. You see Cordelia says, opens the door.
So,
Cordelia, maybe you should just keep an eye on him.
Yeah, I can do that.
So
Put
this
him in a safe
guy,
house.
this guy's gonna die, and the wolf guy, like the wolf man, he's like that, right? Like we're all on the same page.
So are you talking about bringing the Wolfman down here and then catching him as he's trying to be bad man to our good friend over here?
That sounds like a really complicated plan. I feel like we should just approach that from a
Wait.
more conventional angle.
Winnebago, real fast question. Whose
Yeah.
phone did you use to call this wolf guy?
The desk phone.
Hey Cordelia, real quick question.
Teams on my computer.
I'll
so-
I'll walk in and say, Cordelia, did we make our office phone untraceable?
Of course. It's encrypted.
Yeah, see?
I walk back out and I say, "No, we're good."
Okay. see?
Okay. But we're gonna buy some, Boost mobile phones with fake names now.
Around this time, you probably start getting the text message from Wild. I would imagine. Like, hey, what did you guys find out? Like as a follow up, what do you tell them, or what do you relay back?
Boner is dangerous.
Winnebago is getting Dan killed.
Don't get involved with Boner.
Stay away from Wolfie.
Cool.
My message to Wild, because you're all useless, would be. No, my message would be one of the changelings may be onto the fact that people are looking for them. If you're looking about information specifically about them digitally, you might want to be careful when you leave. If they can't trace
Perfect.
us, they can trace you.
Yep.
And
And around
I
that
will send her
time,
3 names:
let's see.
Mendez,
I need-
Bomber, and Wolf.
1 second. I need everyone here now that you're outside of the apartment currently. While
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Doors
outside the
inside.
door.
Cool. Roll alertness, please.
Not alert at all. Nope.
Regular success.
23 out of 50.
Got it. Okay.
100 is critical fail, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
it is.
I'm only asking because I was a few numbers off. Just want to
Asking
make
for
sure.
a friend.
Yeah. Asking for a lull.
So Walter made it.
Graduate.
Who else made
12,
it?
12 out of 50.
Me. I made it.
White Lady and Warlock. Excellent. You all make it. Cordelia it gets into some sort of a tit for tat with Winnebago about, security practice. Of course it was encrypted. Do I look like an amateur to you? She says, like they get into this thing like, oh, but it's open source. No. Like we don't mess with that bullshit. What kind of phone did you use again to call? Like they're in it and like they're not paying any attention at all what's going on. The rest of you though, you notice this muscle car pull up. And it stays on, and out of the front door, out of the front driver's side, this guy comes out and there's music blaring, just like club music or whatever. And this
Grubhub.
big dude with like a tank top and with like tattoos and stuff like that, close cropped hair, well built. He walks out. He's carrying a gun. He starts walking up the stairs.
It's normal.
Moving back to Wild on the campus. You fired off some text messages while you're in the library researching what was going on with the different books, and
He's
they
gonna
got
clear
back to
his
you like,
history really fast.
yeah, he's just like delete.
And
But,
use
yeah, you-
incognito tabs from now on.
as incognito as you can be. Cooper is just kind of like checking his watch every 5 minutes and playing on his phone. You get a text message back from these guys like, hey, looks like this guy Dan, you might be dying because Winnebago's asking all sorts of weird questions, and apparently his sister Alyssa went missing a couple years back. He thinks there's several people out there that are like Cindy was, like they're infected or whatever, they're not people anymore. And this Boomer person was listed by them as being dangerous, potentially. So you be careful with that. What do you do once you get that message?
So he was gonna go talk to Bomber on his own at some point, but he's decided against that considering he doesn't use firearms himself. He literally has no score in firearms.
It's fine.
So he's just gonna now that he's done researching the entities themselves,
Mhm.
he's I remember mentioning that he was going to research Audrey on the faculty page, maybe like find her LinkedIn or whatnot. And then He'd actually like to circle back to these others
Hmm.
and look in folklore and urban legends how you're supposed to protect yourself against them.
A lot of people, when you look at the social media page, it's very plain Jane, nothing special. There's actually not a lot of activity there. When you look into how people used to protect themselves from these changelings, as it were, you notice that a lot of the people used to try to protect themselves by trying to stay awake and put wards up to keep the changelings away, whatever they thought of at the time, that like garlic for vampires or whatever. Mirrors, in some cases, they would use to try to keep them out, like facing outward, because apparently like if they looked at their true self or whatever, it would frighten them away. So something to that effect. They would use things like that to ward them away. That's the mythology aspect of it.
He figures even if it doesn't help, it can't hurt, and he's gonna start prepping those things.
Okay, start thinking like, I need to get some. I want to try to see if I can get some mirrors, score some mirrors, because if these things are real, like I don't want to deal with them.
Mirrors, wards. He's gonna go the modern day like witch route and get some salt like the window entrances and the door entrances, and he's also going to see if he can find some cold wrought iron.
Oh, very good. Yeah, you find all that good stuff. Excellent. All right, so you make a note of all this stuff, and with that, Cooper's just kind of like spitball in the wall, just like, okay, are we done here? Like, it's just like passing out, like just sheer boredom.
Drink a lot of espresso.
Okay, that helps at least. Yeah, and he just waits for you basically to call it, and then if you're done doing the research at the library, then he'll offer to give you a ride back to the office or to wherever.
I figured they had gone back to the office. Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, this is happening while they're over there doing their investigation or whatever. At some point, they got your text message and they text you back.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So you set those things into motion. You start jotting down notes about wards and such. And then I'm assuming you're going to head back to, or do you head back to the office directly with Cooper, or do you go somewhere else?
He'll pick up those things that he may need to ward the office.
Okay, excellent. So you pick up the supplies and start heading back. And it's like, what are we doing? And it's like, we're picking up mirrors and stuff. And it's like, all right, sure. He drives you over. You go to the department store and start picking up like mirrors of different types, full body mirrors, small mirrors, etc., and you start like arranging them around the office as you can. All right, excellent. While that's happening, the rest of you see this guy get out of the car, and he starts walking with like a 9mm in his hand. And he starts walking up the stairs. White lady. Actually, I need everybody's dexterity scores, please.
50.
15 for Devin?
Or sorry, 10. Sorry. I was doing
10.
times 10.
13.
All right. 13 for Winnebago. Okay. We need 13. Walter.
10.
And also Warlock.
10.
And oh my. All right, Cordelia. It's gonna be a solid 12. So we got Winnebago goes first, followed by Cordelia, and then the rest of you go roughly around the same time. So, Winnebago, you see like you're distracted somewhat with Cordelia, but you see the rest of these guys are just like, wait, what's going on over here? You hear somebody like jogging up the steps of the stairwell, like 2 or 3 steps at a time, and after they emerge on the 3rd floor, and there's just like this stone-faced guy, no expression. And he's physically fit. He's wielding a 9mm, and as soon as he comes across you, he just like rings up the gun, points it at you, and begins to fire.
Oh shit.
Because you go before he does, Winnebago gets to react first. What do you want to do?
He is. Is there any way? Well, I guess he was unaware, so he wouldn't know this guy was coming. Fuck it. He's gonna scream Kumite and go running after this
Kumite?
guy. Yeah, Kumite, and go try and kick this dude.
You gonna try to kick him?
Yes.
All right. You go ahead and give me a roll.
Read. 18.
You hit him. All right. Roll your damage, sir.
How do you roll damage?
Well, it's usually 1d3, and then there's like a bonus to damage depending on your strength, very much like Call of Cthulhu. If you look down where on your
found
sheet,
it.
where
Got it.
should be like 1d3 plus 1 or something like that.
Yeah, I hit him for 2.
Number 2. All right, excellent. All right, next up, Cordelia. So you run up and you just like straight up try to kick this guy down the stairs.
Yeah, he's just Wah! And he watches a lot of Kung Fu, and apparently that gives him a 60 in his hand-to-hand. So,
So you just land a solid hit, and he actually like moves him. It shifts him, puts him off balance, and he starts kind of like tumbling down the stairs a little bit.
okay.
By the time the first shot goes off, kind of goes off wild. Cordelia pulls her piece and like, put the weapon down or I'm firing. And she's just holding her action. Then it's the rest of you. I think White Lady had it in her in her mind to get the jump on this guy. So you have the opportunity now if you want to do like a running jump, death from above kind of move on this guy. You can try it.
I want to do running jump, death from above, try and kick him off the ledge.
Cool, go for it.
How do you want me to roll that? Athletics or melee combat?
If you want to do no damage and just physically, I mean, this guy's physically superior in probably every way. That would be an opposed athletics. If you want to do, you actually want to just damage him, like just punch him and toss him, you would have to do unarmed.
I will try and just do athletics then to just knock him over the edge.
All right.
That is a 14.
A 14. Son of a bitch. All right. So yeah, you push him off the third floor balcony or second floor balcony technically. You just like knock him off. He actually failed his athletic roll. He rolled a freaking 87. So he just like whoosh, just push him right off the ledge, and he just goes whoop, boom, hits the floor. He just gets up and starts walking like the Terminator.
Shit.
Okay.
Okay, he's not as inferior as I thought.
That would put it to Walter and Warlock. Get a round of initiative before we start shooting.
Go for it, Walter. My shit's gonna be weird.
So he's now
It's always
downstairs.
He's
I want
he
weird
basically pushed
to
him
happen
off the
first.
second floor. He fell face first, like blop. He gets up. There's blood running down his face. He doesn't seem concerned. He's just walking. He's taking his time, like he's like jogging up the stairway again, like he did before.
Listen, if you're gonna scramble
You
his
want the
brain, I
weird
want it to happen first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually bought 2 psychic abilities. So I just stare at him and I realize he's not human anymore. Blood starts to run out of my left eye from the corner. And I get a twitch in my left hand. He bursts into flame.
You get that from telepathy? What the
No,
fuck?
I also bought pyrokinesis.
Oh, jeez, you're a fucking fire starter. Holy shit.
I have questions for after this session.
Okay, so you
I
made your
failed the
roll.
sanity check though, so that's like 4.
Oh wow. Okay, so it's just under temporary insanity territory, but okay. Yeah, you see this happen, Walter. This guy's eyes start bleeding. He's like getting the shakes, and all of a sudden, like he starts bursting into flame, like his tank top and shit. Just like.
Oh no,
He
it's
keeps
my eye that's
moving.
bleeding, not the other guy.
No. That's what you see. Yeah, you see that happening from Warlock, and then you see flames coming from this guy. He just like spontaneously combusts. You all have to make sanity checks now, thanks to Warlock.
Oh, the rest of us do?
Yeah,
Fail.
What's it again?
failed. Oh my.
Under sanity.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it under our number of sanity points we have to roll?
Equal to
Yes.
or under?
Current sanity.
I was gonna say current or max.
Failed.
Current.
At,
Who failed?
Success.
At my current level,
Those of you
it's
who
2 fire
made it-
damage.
Those of you who made it lose 1. Those of you failed lose 2. I rolled a D4 and I got a 2 twice.
It's 2 fire damage at this
Okay.
level, by the way. It's automatic.
How much damage?
It's always equal to my level. So, no, 3. Sorry, that'd be equal to my psychic level, so 3.
Ooh. It's taking quite a bit already. Hold on a second. 3. Shit. Okay. All right. Yeah, he's hurt, but he doesn't seem to care. That's also disturbing. Warlock, when you look, you're using your psychic ability, you try to tap into its mind. It's like you're tapping into a hive mind. There's not one voice. There's like hundreds, and they're all screaming at the same time and shrieking in your head, and they all sort of like turn their inward eye towards you.
That's not good.
For a minute, it's very nostalgic and I miss it. But then I remember that's bad.
That's bad. Yeah, Walter.
All right, so I was gonna try to grapple him, but that's not happening.
You should
Probably not a good
Yeah,
idea.
totally.
I know.
That's a great idea now. Don't
Yeah,
forget,
I'm
I was
gonna
gonna put him out with like a fire
don't
extinguisher.
forget, don't forget to put kerosene on yourself first.
Listen, kerosene's got a higher ignition point. You want to use gasoline for maximum potential.
Yes.
So I will just try to clock him. See if I can knock him out.
Sure. You gotta jump down though, like to get him. Like if you want to move your rounds, it's just like. Okay.
Oh yeah. Unarmed.
Unarmed.
44 out of 60.
Fucking got it. Got it. All right. Roll your damage. You guys are
That's
piling it on.
I rolled a 3.
Damage, fuck. Yeah, you fucking clock the shit out of it, but it's like you're hitting a brick wall. You're just like wham, and he just you break bones, like you hit flesh, and you're just like ow, but he just doesn't care, and he immediately levels the gun and fires it at you since you're right there. Rolled a 66. That is a matched failure for this guy. He's not a firearms expert, so you're just like point blank range. He fires. I'm gonna say that he hits the. Okay, he goes to fire at you, and you move out of the way just in time. And because of the flames, it actually the gun misfires and it just explodes in his hand. Pieces of his fingers and his hands just go flying across the way. It's just gore.
Jesus.
And he just looks at his hand, and it's like squirting blood. And he still starts. He's like dead set on getting on the 3rd floor. He continues to try to run up the stairs. Since you're already out of his way, he just continues unimpeded, bleeding and burning at the same time. Cordelia sees this and finally is like, "Fuck this." She's been holding her around this entire time. She puts a couple shots, like right in tight grouping, right in the center mass. Pop, 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 pop. Oh yeah, match success. So, let's see what this guy's got. D12. We don't get that very often. Okay. 7 damage. Okay, so Cordelia puts a couple of tightly packed gunshots into his chest. Bah, 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 big revolver she pulls out of her jacket. And he just like takes the shots and starts tumbling down the stairs, and he doesn't move anymore. The fire just keeps burning, eviscerating what's left of his flesh and bones. None of you notice throughout all of this when Daniel Moore uses the opportunity to flee in the opposite direction, gun in hand.
Oh,
And that's where we'll stop for tonight.
Wait, there's multiple sets of stairs? Damn it.
Yeah, there's one on one side and then there's one on the other side. He came up one side and he tried to get in and you just like pushed him out the other side. So he fell this way and Daniel went that way. That's all the time we have for this session. I hope everyone here and those watching enjoyed the show. We'll continue our descent into conspiracy horror next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you enjoyed tonight's program, feel free to check out our other awesome adventures and terrifying tales. In the way of awesome adventures Tuesday, we have Squeaks in the Deep on the Onyx Path channel. Wednesdays brings us Deadlands Horror at Headstone Hill. Thursdays, we have Star Trek Dauntless. And Fridays, it's Scarredlands, Dracogenesis Season 2. In the coming soon category, we have Achtung! Cthulhu on Wednesdays, starting September 1st, and Mutant Year Zero, Road to Eden on Saturdays, beginning September 4th. For Terrifying Tales on Tuesdays, check out Chronicles of Darkness's Maids the Awakening, Book 1, Defiance. Fridays, it's Contagion Chronicle, the No Time for Reality finale on the Onyx Path channel. And Saturday, it's the Ghost Hunters and Wraith the Oblivion mashup, The Exorcism of Vanessa Grace. Sundays, we bring you Unknown Armies and the V20 Anniversary Chronicle, Starlight and Smoke. Coming soon is Black Void on Fridays, starting August 27th, and Cult Divinity Lost on Sundays, starting September 12th. And now for those of you who stayed past the credits, it's time to vote for favorites. Everyone in this game can select another player as their favorite for that session for any reason. Recipients get a reward in the form of a reroll for their character. For viewers, voting is open as well. You too can choose a new favorite each week for all of our shows, but you have to be quick because voting ends as soon as our closing reel finishes. Be sure to cast your votes in the Twitch chat as soon as you can. Beginning with Sean, who played Winnebago this evening. Tell us who you are, where you are online, and your favorite.
I'm at Space Lord PJs. Tomorrow night, I'll be running Squeaks the Deep on Onyx Path. My vote's gonna go to Walter because in the side chat he's like, I didn't get this far just fight the monster, and we fought the monster. So yeah,
excellent. And Ben, who played Walter this evening, where can they find you online, and who's your favorite?
I'm Ben Big Dad Walter. You can find me typically over on Carrying Comfort Studios. I am the storyteller for the soon to come back Puttanesca by Night, my all Puttanesca vampire chronicle. They're a bunch of crime goblins, and it's delightful. My vote goes towards Wild.
Nice.
I really liked how Ambrose did the investigation.
Yeah. Agreed. And Ambrose, who played Wild this evening, where can they find you online, and who's your favorite?
Oh gosh, you can find me on the internet as Changeling Ever. You can also find me on Etsy at Neat and Co Designs. You can find me playing again tomorrow in Mage the Awakening. Nunchuck. Sorry. And there goes Nunchuck. And I have really enjoyed playing Daniel Jackson, aka Wild, for you all. And my vote this evening will have to go to Walter for almost making me spit take when he put on the sunglasses and started jamming to the song. But also in the side, he was like, please tell me I'm not the only one who has charisma and persuasion.
Nice. And Devin, who played Megan, aka White Lady, this evening. Where can they find you online, and who's your favorite?
Hello all, I am Devin. You can find me online at Sort of Sullied, and I am totally voting for Winnebago for giving the bad guy our main lead as the main lead.
You know, it happens.
Like you do.
Excellent. All right, and last but not least, Tyler, who played Warlock this evening. Where can they see you next, and who's your favorite?
Tyler, Ellie Check goes online all over the place of Orbital Tales. You should show up on Saturday and see how character creation ends up going for Ray. Should be fascinating. Winnebago, because you're a fucking hot mess.
Excellent. I've been Eric at Marone on Twitter.
What are the votes worth?
Okay. So I thought about this beforehand. I think what I'm going to do is player votes will garner you a reroll, and audience votes will garner you extra points of willpower, which are important. So,
and you should let everyone know how advancement works in this game.
Yes. So if you screw up a roll, you check mark the skill. After the session ends, you roll. If you roll a higher than that skill, then you succeed, in which case you roll a die and you apply that. I think you roll a d10, if I'm not mistaken, and you add that to the skill roll.
If you fail, you said?
Yeah, if you fail a check, then make sure that a test, then you check the skill, and after the session, you try to roll above it.
Shit, what
If you
was
do
that
so,
one I failed?
then you
Think of it
you
like
lose.
there's something more for your character to learn.
Exactly. So the higher skilled you are, the less likely that's going to happen.
Oh, there we go.
That's
That one.
right.
Okay. Yes. So we'll cover that in some detail next week, more than likely. But I've been Eric at Maroon Recluse on Twitter. You can find me here again on Sundays for Unknown Armies and Vampire the Masquerade. Big thanks as always to our patrons for supporting what we do. If you want to be awesome and do the same, check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/vorpaltales and keep up to date on what we're doing by checking the calendar on vorpaltales.com. And thanks to you, our viewers and fans, for tuning in. As usual, maintain situational awareness, keep your intel compartmentalized, and always watch your backs. Good night, everybody.